I did not sand the body of the birdhouse, so there are some errors in it, but I just thought I'd show it to you.
You know what? Sanding doesn't really count. I like it.
And that's cute, yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked all the inclusions, and I didn't bother filling them out. There's cracks all over it, and I don't know what kind of wood it was, but it was hard as all get out. And then
that bird just didn't do a good enough job to make it all perfectly smooth. So
exactly.
it was fun. Nice house.
And the I did the top in I think it was basswood I did the top in, and then gilded it. And then the bottom piece I think was maple. And I got a little tiny, I don't know how long that'll stay on there, a little tiny point on it. But I just wanted to see what I could do without sanding it. And I thought it came out pretty good.
That's all cut. That's all cutting right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
All right.
I did it with the 3/8 inch detail gouge.
Okay, here's the deal. Don't you darn apologize for what you've done. Don't even say it didn't come out good. That is a cut piece. It's awesome. I like the inclusions. In fact, I love the inclusions. And I think that makes an excellent birdhouse. No smoke. That just makes an excellent birdhouse.
Absolutely.
And so then I did something we're doing a Christmas giveaway on Saturday at a woodworking place. And so this is what they're getting.
Oh, that's cool looking.
That's great.
You actually hang out with people that corks bottles? I don't hang out with anybody.
We're drinking wine Saturday night. But you know, if they cork their wine, if they don't cork it, I would understand. But then I a vinegar bottle or something. But yeah, I really liked how that one came out with the colors. So
it did.
My neighbor said she wants to rig it, the gift exchange, so she ends up with it, which cracked me up. I said, no, it's your game. You're not supposed to rig it.
Yeah, I went to a Ducks Unlimited function 20 or more years ago. I used to MC them, and I was sitting on a Diaz and I was watching a guy. They were going to pull a name for a shotgun that was up, and I'm watching the guy's hand go down in the box, and there is the winning ticket right there. From where I'm at, I'm got an excellent view of it. Nudged my wife and said, "We got to go real soon." She said, "Why?" Because I'm about to say something they're really going to get mad at. But yeah, it's fair to win. It's not fair to cheat. But you know, when you have folks looking like I'm going to win it, they'll really pray and hope. And
yeah,
I like that Spectrafly product. When I first got back from rehab, I was talking to Ruth Niles, and I said, I'd like to get some pieces, like for medallions or something small. She sent me a huge post office box full of 2x2x3 pieces of Spectrafly, all kinds of colors, beautiful. And my wife looked at it and said, "Well, you do all the scrap wood." That's before she knew you can't call it scrap wood. Well, while I was away, some folks cleaned up the yard and the shop, and probably had 2 or 3 pickup trucks full of exotic wood that they tossed away because it looked like trash.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and probably 1,000 pounds of coriander rips. Because I know just a week or 10 days ago, I went and cleaned out my friend's coriander shop. He would always give me the sink cutouts, the drops, and the rips because the sheets come 2 inches bigger than which he'd cut countertops out of. And I'd bring my 4x8 trailer over there, and we'd load it till the tire squeezed. And at that time, I was bringing it to a club meeting to give it away to club members. And then some guy who was an officer of the club says, "Hey, why don't you?" And it was an open comment. "Why don't you bring us good stuff instead of all the scraps?" I don't know if he knows what happened after that, but I didn't bring him anything. I'd have guys coming by asking to take it. Then we did a workshop here in my shop one day about how to put it together. And boy, they were folks that don't know how to work with CA. Didn't understand. You take one of those spring clamp things, you get it at the best supply house in town, Harbor Freight, and you put two pieces together. You flatten them out on something to make them dead flat. And at that time, I was using a glass sample from my office, and I'd glue a piece of 180 sandpaper on it, and then you just lap it out. You just flatten it out, and you flatten out the positive side, the side that's got all the color on it, and you just lap it out, put them together, and then drizzle super glue over the top of it. Now you don't drizzle super glue and put it together. You put it together first, and guy said, "Why?" And we were working on a piece of brown paper, glue them together, and I picked it up, and that paper the line was the same as the line I put on the front, because that stuff is so thin, it'll walk right through that crack. And we made pen blanks out the yin yang that day. Wore out my sandpaper. Good evening. I see Brenda's in, Dave Rose is in, Gary in Oklahoma, Safety Sue's here. Trey made it in. He didn't think he'd stay the whole meeting. He's got someplace else to pop into. It's good. Good to see all you folks in there. All right, what's turning? What's going on this week?
Good to see you here tonight, Eddie. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting you. Looking good.
I went to sleep. I mean, solid sleep right after I sent a note out to our regular co-host saying I need a little help tonight. I still do. But my wife made me go way down. I didn't know what Prozac was. I still don't know what Prozac is. So when you overdose on it, it kicks your ass. And I didn't mean to overdose this. I didn't know. Well, really, I misunderstood. So it's a nice lady helping me out.
We're
I'm with
glad
the,
you're here tonight.
I'm sorry.
We're glad you're here tonight.
Oh, I am. Y'all make my week. So, for me, that's a positive thing.
Yep.
I hadn't been able to come in here for a couple of days and do anything in the shop. I made a pen case on a laser. That took about 3 hours to cut out. And a couple other sample pieces. That was maybe Saturday. I had a little fun with it. Damn, I didn't clean up anything. Oh, that's right. His boss told me I had to clean it up on Sunday and put it in the trash pile. Put the trash out. Her idea is anything past the door is trash. Yeah.
That's okay, Eddie. I haven't cleaned up either.
Ho, Billy. Billy, I saw a couple of YouTubes from you this week. Some nice work.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, I've been seeing a lot of folks our members pop up on YouTube and Facebook this week. In fact, I was supposed to, and I'll get around to it in a day or two, make a promo. And the promo is going to be pretty much a Joaquin and Matt show. I mean, I got photographs of umpteen ornaments. In fact, I was sitting someplace and I got them the other night and someone looked at the iPad and had on it. Oh, can I buy those? I said, probably can. I just can't help you out with it. But they turned some beautiful stuff. They really did. And Matt's with those faces and the eyes and the smiles that stand out to you. Those are beautiful. I think that's such a cool detail. They give a plain old snowman some real personality. You look at it and say, boy, I'm glad that thing doesn't come on my house.
Mhm.
What's with the outfit, Billy?
Oh, nothing. I just in the spirit.
Oh,
The chips stick to that, don't they?
The who?
The chips.
They do. That's why I don't wear it in the shop.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be bad juju.
my kids used to get upset when I would call him fat guy red suit. He's not going to give me anything. I said, no, I always relied on mom and dad to give me something, but
I'll wear this out to dinner, something like this anyway. I've got, I guess, maybe 8 or 9 Santa shirts. One's a long sleeve. I'll wear it out to dinner. Kids will be eyeballing me.
oh yeah.
It's fun. I like to mess with them. We were leaving the restaurant last week, and 2 little girls were talking to each other, Santa, Santa, Santa. And I heard as I was leaving, the littlest girl said, that can't be Santa. Santa wouldn't have tattoos. She didn't think I heard her. And I said, I stopped and I looked at her and I said, why wouldn't I have tattoos? And her eyes got real big. And mom and dad started giggling. And he said, see, you're on the naughty list now. And I said, no, she's not on the naughty list. I've been watching her. She's a good girl.
That makes their life, really.
It does.
Yeah, that moment. You give them that kind of moment, it's great. We go to Aquasize almost every day. Unfortunately, I didn't go today because I would have drowned. But we go and I see little kids in the pool, and I'm talking 4 years old, maybe 5 years old. Their parents working with them to learn how to swim or get the fear of the water and get rid of the fear of the water. And every time I'll say, wow, you look like a fish. You swim like a fish. And they all get a little grin on their face, like, look,
Yep.
ain't mom and dad tell me this. Other people see that I'm like a fish. And we had one, maybe it was Sunday afternoon or Monday afternoon was there. And he was 4 or 5 years old. When I passed his dad, I said, you one strong man. He looked at me and I says, if you can live with that talking nonstop 24/7. He said, boy, do you know it? He said, this is him on a quiet day. I could all the way across the pool. I could hear him going, and it was just funny. He was really, really, he was enjoying it and sharing it on. He says, his dad says, almost time to go. He looked at the clock. He says, no, mom says we can stay another hour. There's no way he could read that clock.
I usually carry a small black leather satchel. It's over my shoulder full of candy canes, and I hand them out to the kids when they say something, or even if they don't.
Yeah. You,
They like it.
you bring a little sparkle into their life, and you know, I like
You
that. I
renew
like,
faith in humanity.
yeah, really. And they,
For the adults.
yeah, and you run across so many kids that are not parent disciplined in no
Oh,
way
yeah.
at all. You can see it. They just, mommy says you shouldn't do that. When I was a kid, it was don't do that.
Yeah.
And I learned don't do it.
Yeah,
Did
right.
you guys see on Facebook this week, I seen 2 videos this week on Facebook about the Grinch. One Grinch came into this house, started taking the presents out from under the tree. One of the little boys got up off the couch, went after him, started hitting him. Don't you take our Christmas? Oh, it was hilarious. This boy was mean. Then there was another one where the Grinch was outside. Little girl kept hollering, "Daddy, go get him! Daddy, go get him!" Oh, it was hilarious.
Precious.
And the dad went outside after him with a broom.
Hey,
That's
can I
bad,
ask
man.
a question that's totally
Of
off
course you
the
can.
topic? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm making an oak barrel for my son, a whiskey barrel. It's a little glass. It's like it looks shaped like a barrel out of white oak. I have a couple of questions. If I, on the outside, on the bottom, on the outside, if I use like CA or Parfix to seal the outside bottom, is that going to hurt anything?
In
I'm
what
sorry,
way?
I don't think so.
I don't.
I thought,
I don't know what's going to be put in it.
Whiskey.
But if it depends on, I guess, how thick the bottom is and how apt the whiskey is to soak through to the CA.
Okay.
I don't know what alcohol will do to CA, but
That's what I'm asking.
I got a feeling it ain't good.
The bottom is going to be a 1/2 inch minus maybe a 1/16 of an inch. The bottom is a 1/2 inch thick, and I'm going to put just a little bit of a indent on the bottom. That and I have a real good tip for your safety person. Brenda? I forget.
It's Sue.
Sue. Okay, I have a real good safety tip. When you go to use a 30 or 35-year-old propane torch, don't.
Yeah, don't.
I went and I bought a new fuel tank because the fuel that was in the bottle I obviously it had all leaked out. And I had 3 lines of safety. I did it on my table saw, which was a big piece of flat metal. I had a fire extinguisher right there, and I had my squirt bottle with me also. And all of the dust had been blown away and cleaned away from the lathe area. I screwed the cap down. Everything looked good. Turned that little valve knob open just a little bit, struck a match and held it there, and I had a hell of a fire in my garage. And took my fire extinguisher. It says, pull pin. Hold the pin. Hold the bottle upright. I held the bottle upright. Push trigger mechanism. I pushed the trigger mechanism. Not a damn thing happened. Well, now I'm down to my little squirt bottle. And I damn near emptied, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 cups of water on that thing, and it put it out. but I was getting real close to just taking a piece of wood and throwing it out of my garage. But it put it out. It melted the little valve handle that you twist to open. And I'm assuming the gaskets that are in that old torch, the old valve, and that they probably dried up and that they're not that viable anymore. So that might be something you want to mention. Yeah, like I say, the old boy on YouTube that I watched this of, and I watched Dean Grimes also, basically where I got the idea from. He said, you know, safety, and he had the fire extinguisher, the squirt bottle, the area was all cleaned of dust. I did all of that. Damn lucky. The squirt bottle saved my butt.
How old was the fire extinguisher?
I don't really remember. It's got to be 3-4 years old.
That's why it lost its pressure.
And there's no gauge on it to say good or bad. So tomorrow that's being replaced. And tomorrow we get a fire extinguisher that has one of those little gauges, good or bad.
Yeah, all of mine have gauges on them.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. But
Can't
yeah,
believe it wasn't bad, or that it was bad after only 3 years. I used
Yeah.
one this summer that I know was at least 3 years old. I used it to get rid of the bees out at this other house I was working on.
Some brands are better than others.
well,
got-
yeah, and I said 3 years. I don't really know how long it's been hanging on the rack in my garage. It's something that I never worried about, never thought about. And
Gary?
Yes, sir.
Use a little bit of marine epoxy on the bottom of your glass.
Marine epoxy. Oh, that
Yes,
sounds
it's
good.
waterproof.
It's waterproof and alcohol doesn't seem to bother it. I make wooden canteens out of white oak
Yeah.
and have end grain showing and they don't leak.
Would you put that on the inside of it?
No.
No, you want it on the outside where you don't
Yeah,
want the epoxy where you're gonna put the liquid against.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You wanna char the inside so that it's basically the same thing as a big old whiskey keg, so that it gets some of that flavor of the charring in the whiskey is my understanding. I don't drink, so that's what I've been told will happen, that you'll get that taste that comes from charring. So, but no, they said you don't put anything inside, you just char it. And so it's
Be careful when you're charring it. Don't burn the place down.
yeah.
And char it before you use the epoxy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this old fat man was out in the garage and he'd go, oh man. My eyes, I guess, got as big as saucers, and when I see that fire going off, oh Lord.
I would suggest next time too, before you, when you're testing that or whatever, do that outside. Don't do it in the garage.
You know, that's not a bad idea. That's really not a bad idea.
When I was making tools, I had a rule: no welding in a wood shop, none at all, and no sparks, nothing. And I had a couple of good fire extinguishers out there, and thought I'll never use these. And my wife came out to see me about something one day, and I'd been out back, and I sanded a piece of wood in a metal shop, and because I had a 6-inch wide sander out there. And we went up front and I saw the lights flickering. And a few minutes later, they flickered again. And I said, I got to go see what this is about. Went out back and that sawdust caught fire from the block that I sanded, and it burned up everything around it. Burned the cord off the sander, burned a couple other pieces that were on my work table. And it convinced me if I'd done that in my shop and walked inside, it would have burned down.
Yeah. So that's a good idea to do it outside. Yes, it is.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
take the safety precautions you can, and then you don't have that situation. But hey, you better be here next week. Otherwise, you're going to have us all worried.
Yes.
Anybody that follows Ken Moon saw his shop fire a month or so ago, and it was simply a tool fell off his lathe into a pile of resin. He turns a lot of resin, and that stuff is very, very flammable. A tool fell off his lathe onto the floor. There was in a pile of resin. It sparked, and that resin ignited immediately.
Oh, my goodness.
And if he hadn't gotten to his fire extinguisher as quickly as he did, he would have lost his shop.
Wow. I didn't know resin was flammable like that.
Yep, especially the shavings. It'll go up faster than sawdust.
Oh, my goodness. Well, learn something new every day. Anyhow, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. That marine epoxy, I'll get some of that and put that on the very bottom. They said that that'll protect the bottom of it. And hopefully the whiskey doesn't remain in the glass for very long.
It probably won't.
Only if he's a whiskey drinker.
Oh, Lord.
I learned
Okay.
about that.
Epoxy's flammable.
Yeah, I learned about that sawdust explosion when I was in cabinet making shop. We swept up something and it was in a bucket, and I didn't know the incinerator was on. I went outside, the incinerator opened the door and threw a bucket of shavings in there, and didn't have to worry about shaving for a couple of days. I
Hey,
had a
like the hat
major.
in the show there.
Oh, that's the claws guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
I have to tell you, I did dust collectors for years. And in schools, high schools, the kids would smoke in a back room or something. When somebody's coming, you throw the damn cigarette in the dust collector. And you want to see, in fact, dust collectors are made with a lead cover on the top out in the back, but it's an absolute inferno in seconds. And it's made to burn this lead plate off the top so that it flames go straight up, and it melts the fusible link to stop the air. But I'll tell you, they go up like the 4th of July, and it melts the steel in the unit. It's the hottest thing you've ever seen. If you got a
Wow.
dust collector anywhere, you should have at least one fire extinguisher, because if something happens, you can't imagine what goes on in that thing. Just thought I'd throw that in. Pleasant,
Well, I'm now-
note
Like
for
a
the
wet-
evening.
I'm now
Like
a
a wet
believer in
bale of
getting,
alfalfa in a pole barn.
Dust is not only flammable, but it's highly explosive.
Yep.
One of the worst explosions I've ever seen was a guy's barn silo from the
Yep.
dust of
What I was
whatever.
getting ready to
grain.
say was
Yep.
corn chafe in a silo.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, about 40, almost 50 years ago, the grain silo across the river from New Orleans had a spark, and it took the main tower where everything goes through. It was gone, and about 10 of the silos in the back were all crushed and leaned against each other. The conveyor that crosses the highway was really destroyed. I think they lost 21 people in that blast.
oh, good Lord.
Oh,
My brother-in-law was with a large contractor that was in the area, and they got the job to go blow the conveyor down. They decided nobody wanted to get up there and cut it off or anything, so they brought in some demolition contractor that blew it up and dropped it on the ground. But Fred came back. He said, "You talk about destruction." He said there wasn't anything more than 2x2 in that rubble at the bottom of that tall building. It was maybe 10, 12 stories tall. And I worked across the river from it, and I pulled up in the parking lot and looked over and I said, damn, there's always been a grain elevator there. And that was only about a half an hour after it blew up.
One thing about dust collection systems is they should be grounded, run a ground wire through them. I worked in industry and we machined a lot of polyurethane foam, and that dust is extremely flammable and extremely explosive. And we had to do that to all our dust collection lines and whatnot, run a bare wire through each line to ground, so that if there was a spark, the spark would go to ground and it wouldn't necessarily blow things up.
Yeah, somebody did a demonstration for us one night, and they had done the coil of wire all the way around, and they'd used the, I call it an aircraft type wire. It was a woven wire, and they had it around the duct everywhere
That's
and
Jim.
down through.
That's very.
That was Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought, okay, he's not going to have a problem, but you know, it doesn't cure all problems. It just helps cure some of the problems, and the ones that are most likely to get you are the ones you don't know about, or don't take any warnings about. And, you know, we say that's fire extinguishers. Okay, if you don't have a fire extinguisher, raise your hand. All right, a lot of hands in here. And I'm not talking those cheap bottles from Harbor Freight or the big box stores. I'm talking
Or
about
if
a
you're
quality one.
Or if your fire extinguisher is empty.
Yeah, well, in the they said, you know, that the dial, the ones with the dial is the only way to go.
Also,
I did some.
they can recharge a good fire extinguisher for less than the cost of a cheap one. So
Oh yeah,
you're better off with a good quality fire extinguisher and pay a little extra for it. And then if it starts to get weak or whatever, then you just get it recharged.
Yep.
yeah. If you have the equipment, just take care of it. But
Costs about $10 at the fire department down here for me to get mine recharged.
How often do you have to do that?
About, I don't know, maybe every 3 years.
Okay,
So I got a gauge on there. So there's a green, you know,
Yeah.
a green, that's the good zone. And once it gets down, you know, getting close to the bottom side of it, I'll take it in and get it charged.
Yeah, I believe the fire department, most fire departments will not only recharge them, but test them.
Yep. Well, that's part of the service, you know, they're not gonna fill one up if it's a faulty fire extinguisher. Or at least you would hope they wouldn't.
okay.
when I was with an architectural firm, I had to go in with, they were rebuilding the New Orleans prison. This was after Katrina. They're rebuilding the prison, and I was going through and noticing that the dials on the fire extinguishers, a whole lot of them were in the bad zone. But they had a current tag. And then I found out there was a major brother-in-law deal where the brother-in-law would make out the tags and give them to somebody or sell them to somebody in the department, and they just clip them on all the fire extinguishers to make them look like they were legal.
That's a lot of good.
But everything else down there was crooked. So,
Goes on everywhere.
oh yeah, if there's a buck to be made, the thieves, all the thieves have to do is sit around and think about it. You know, how did they figure that out? You know, they looked at it from 10 different directions and figured out a way around it. They put up a escape-proof fence on their at the gates that to go in. They put an escape-proof fence, and they were real proud of it. The next day, 3 of them went over the fence. They only had a day to take a look at that fence, and they figured, I know how to get in there. And they launched out and got it. tonight we're gonna have a gallery, and if I jump on board early, because it is kind of early, I could say Band-Aid Brenda has got something to show on a gallery, and she normally handles calling you up to the gallery. So let's have the fox watch the hen house. Brenda.
Hi, Eddie. Look what I did this week. Look at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
that.
Cute.
Somebody was paying attention last week.
Yeah, they
I
were.
made some notes. I did it twice. 'Cause
Awesome.
I had to send Trace a message and ask him a couple of questions, and look at the bottom. Put some lead in there and filled it with sawdust,
There you go.
That'll work.
the CA.
Okay, now the next question is, did you do this did you cut the bottom crosswise on the bandsaw, or did you do it on the lathe?
I made my jig. I made the jig. Yeah, I made the jig. Could not find the bolt though to hold it onto the plywood. None of the box stores had it because it's such a big bolt. But I was walking through Home Depot and some guy says, "You know, I'm a machinist. Maybe you can just have it made." Well, I happened to meet a guy a couple weeks ago that gave me he was a key maker. Gave me the brass shavings, from his key thing, and he had a metal lathe. So I contacted him and he couldn't do it. So he's like, "What about this machine shop on the other side of town?" Well, turns out that machine shop is at the end of the alley from behind my house. I went down there. Next day, they got me a bolt. So, yep, I made the jig. I made 2 stands. Yeah.
Looks good.
And
Good job, Brenda.
yeah, I was pretty proud of that. And the other day I made this a birdhouse.
That's cute.
I didn't put the stick in it, but it's made out of a log. And when I was turning it all down, the tip of it, it was so pretty. I made this finial thing here. Thought, well, I'll just put a little tip on that thing and I can just put it on something, Well, I ended up putting it on this. Oh, yeah, look at that. 3 different pieces, all fits together with, I don't know what you'd call that, a little dowel rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes into the hole.
Tenon. Looks like a tenon to me.
Yep, there you go,
Yeah,
a little
I
tenon.
call them tenants.
I was gonna put this on a board and on the top of another wind chime. That was the plan. So,
Did you make the jig to bend the copper?
what's that?
Did you make the jig to bend the copper rod?
I did, but I wasn't able to get it correct. See that they're not too good.
That looks good.
They look fine.
Yeah.
They look great. They look
They look
great.
good.
Look like you'd get it off Amazon.
What size wire do you have there?
Number 8 wire.
Yeah, yeah.
What Trace used. Thing is, I wasn't able to get my brain wrapped around how to figure out the angle. To when I had this in the jig. Well, actually, I had it in the jig this way, right on the chuck, and wasn't able to figure out. I guess it was this way. Figure out exactly how to angle that to get the 15 degree here. I just turned it all the way over that I could. I got a very small bandsaw, and this was as far as over as it would go. And I really can't tell you what kind of angle that is, but
Looks great.
it sits good.
It worked.
It sits good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not level.
Well, you put the ornament weight on it and that'll make it
Yeah.
better.
Right.
Yeah.
That is
Well, they sit-
just gorgeous.
Thank you. And I went to Rural King. Yep, Rural King, and bought the fishing weights for the bottom. And they had these great big ones that were, I think there was a 4-pack of them on clearance for $1. But I knew they was going to be too big to fit in that hole. I brought them home, put them in my vise, got my sawzall out, cut them things in half, made them fit. Yeah. I love it when a plane comes together like that. Yeah. Feel like a genius.
Good old American ingenuity.
Yep, where there's a will, there's
Yeah.
a way.
Yes,
two
that's a
for
good
the
day in the
price of one.
garage right there.
You got
Well,
two
I'll
for the
tell
price
you
of
what,
one.
that 3-piece is also, bring that back up. That's a really nice piece.
You like the birdhouse
That's a
piece?
lot of work right there. Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's nice.
Yeah. I was thinking this kind of looks like a cupcake.
Looks like that place in Los Angeles where they had the records.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of the name of
And
that.
more holes in it too, all over, you know, but
Record City. No, that's Detroit.
The Capitol Records Tower.
That's it. That's it.
okay. But I ain't done nothing more with that one. I'm just gonna, haven't decided. I've got enough tubes to do one more wind chime. I'm not sure if I want to use
Make
this.
it out of.
Black walnut.
Oh, nice.
I got a pile of black walnut. Love it. This piece, man, when I turned this thing was so pretty.
See any faces in it
Gorgeous.
though? There's no faces.
Okay,
in
do
it.
y'all see what I see there? Not a Band-Aid on Brenda anywhere.
Well, actually,
Uh-oh.
I'll get to that too. I'm gonna get to that too.
Scrappy.
When I was bending the tip of the wire here, I used some needle nose pliers, and the pliers slipped off.
Blood blister.
What
Yep.
happened to me?
Yeah.
Got a little blood blister, so
Still no Band-Aid.
pliers. Yeah, no, I had to use a
Make
safety.
that little wooden jig for bending it.
Just the tip. Curl
Yeah.
the tip, you mean?
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, no.
You would have problems with the jig on the tip, but I had to bit, you have to use pliers on it because you need more pressure.
Didn't you
Okay.
flatten it out too?
Yeah. Well, it's not really flat, but I did use a hammer and kind of pounded around, you know, that. It was a 2x8 I cut down. Tried to shape it. But I couldn't find the
Came
right
out.
size drill
Was
bit.
it a
either.
metal hammer?
Nope.
It shouldn't have flattened it if it was a rubber hammer or a neoprene.
Well, it didn't really flatten it. No, you just shaped it.
Well,
A
It's
number
not-
8 wire goes into an 8-inch hole, 1/8 of an inch hole. Standard
I
drill
can find-
bit size.
I couldn't find a 1/8 inch drill bit. I got 1/4 and 1/16. Couldn't find 1/8.
Time for a new drill bit set.
Yeah, I have to buy those 1/8-inch drill bits in multiples because that's like one of the
Sweet.
most common ones I use and I break it a lot.
Yeah.
No kidding.
8th and 16th both.
16th,
Yeah.
yes. I just bought a 16th inch for the wind chimes, and I bought a 2-pack. And of course, one of them is broke.
And when I do the kitless pens, I use a 1/8 inch or 5/32 bit to drill it in their aircraft. They call them aircraft quality bits. They're 6 inches long, but they only have about 1.25 inches of cutting area. So when you use it, you have to go in and out, in and out, in and out. But
Come on.
if you do that holding the bit, not putting the bit in a chuck, but holding the bit and just by hand, it won't go crooked. It won't go because the amount of pressure you could put on from the quill, you can hook almost any drill bit with the heat, and it'll walk right through, and you won't know it until you look down to see a little hole in the side.
or feel it prick your hand,
I'm sorry, what was that?
or feel it prick your hand.
Oh, yeah.
And it blows through the side, pricking your hand.
Well, that's what
Because
I
I would,
got, guys.
Pad nails
Right
are
on.
bad
Thanks,
about that too.
All right, let's
You
go
hear
to, see, Joaquin's got something here. What's up, Joaquin?
Joaquin, that's
I had
you.
to
We
unmute,
got you.
sorry. Hi. So I had a big show 2 weeks ago and was doing a lot of work. So I got a couple, I actually made 3 of these little oak bowls. And I was really happy with how they turned out. They turned out almost identical. You can actually see they came from the same piece of wood.
Yep.
I'm really happy with these little guys. I had a lot of fun. I had some spalted hickory. So I made some little pots. This one's a fun one. I like this one a lot.
Oh, I like that grain.
Nice.
Yeah, the green on the
that-
wood's pretty.
That hickory turned out really pretty. Little
Oh, no, I
spalted
like that one.
hard
Yes.
maple. And that one's a good suction fit.
And a pop.
Nice.
Well, not one-handed. but the spalt lined up perfect on that one.
Yeah.
You almost can't tell I turned that there's piece missing. This is another fun little, this is elm actually with some spalting in it.
Wow. Nice
And
shape.
That's a fun, yeah, that's just a fun little, I did, the show was D&D and Skyrim based. So I thought about making apothecary items. So here's a little elm mortar and tigerwood pestle. And then more of that spalted hickory. This piece was really bad. So I decided to hit it with the torch and char the outside. And I think that just gave it the right character. And then
Oh my
little
goodness.
dice rolling tray. So I had a lot of fun doing those. A lot of fun. doing
Beautiful
those.
work.
Thank you.
Nice.
And
Good
you know
looking
what's
stuff.
funny? I don't have any. I made some dice boxes and used my laser to engrave the top with a little B&D related design. They sold. All 3 of them sold immediately. And another fun thing, you know, you end up, if you're using like Blackwood or catalogs and you're doing finials and feet and things like that, you end up with a lot of just small pieces of thin discs left. So I was thinking about it and I made a little pocket worry stone and then used the laser to engrave the Viking compass, Veg Vizier in it, and then filled that with, sorry, I cracked my phone lens, filled that with embellishing wax, silver embellishing wax. And it's
Cool.
just a little
Very good.
pocket worry. You can't rub that wax off once it's on there. So you just carry it around in your pocket and you have a little fidget stone. And those turn out really nice.
What's it for?
Very good.
It's a worry stone. It's just a little something to put in your pocket to fidget with. Doesn't really have any meaning. It's just something fun to, you know, to carry around in your pocket.
You just rub it when
Like a
you're worried.
buckeye ball, you know?
Yeah, I just
Never heard
fits
of it.
You never heard of a worry stone?
Oh yeah.
We grew up with those when we were kids. We'd always have a little polished rock or something that our grandma gave us carrying around in our pockets.
They make cross-shaped ones a lot for people that's in the hospital and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something to just to distract you. It's
I
a
learned
good
something
distraction.
today.
Yeah. So that's about all. I sold everything else. I had a really good show.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, it was fabulous. It was
Good.
fabulous. So
Good.
Where are you located at?
I'm in Thomasville, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Joaquin.
Good.
Good.
And I
Thank you.
also need to, I don't know if we do any kind of recognition of members, but Mark Soleil shocked me. And I just went yesterday and picked up a new to me, but absolutely fantastic working condition Jet 18-inch bandsaw that was given to me.
Nice.
Oh, I
And Mark-
see it on
Mark
Facebook.
facilitated that.
Yes.
And so I don't know if as a club, we do any kinds of recognitions for that kind of thing, but if you,
You're
if
doing
you
it
run
right now.
across Mark, if he's lurking or whatever, please tell him thank you.
He's out there tonight.
Is he- is he in there? Mark?
Hey,
I
Mark.
can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Just be safe.
Yes, sir. I'll call you if I need help. I
Watch
will
out.
not hesitate. I'm not too proud to call and say, hey, I'm having trouble with the bandsaw.
You know, the recognition or thanking folks is, I mean, it's what we should do. It's what we do here. I mean, if you've got something you like to share with other wood turners, and it really doesn't matter if it's a tool or an idea or a tip or a trick or the formula for something, we're sharing. There are no secrets in this industry, or this hobby. There are none. Think about, they've been doing this for a couple more than weekends. So people have been turning for a long time, and they have ideas that some of us, you look at it. I mean, what Jim Duxbury does had us all going, man, why didn't I think about that? Well, Jim did, and he just told you about it. And that's why we do the tips and tricks. We'll do another tips and tricks in January. How's that? All right. So that they give you a warning to start getting something together. We're looking at a few gallery items. Dane will introduce you. When he does, start talking, because we have 75 people on the screen, and he's got to pick you out when you start talking because your little block turns yellow. But everybody's invited. There's no priority, no hierarchy here. We're all wood turners, every darn one of us. And just ask your wife; she still won't forgive you for it. Dane, who do you have tonight?
Well, we got Gary up next. Hey, Gary.
Yeah, I'm here. Hopefully you got me.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done very many of these inside out turnings. And this is a Christmas present that I made, and it's out of maple. I have 2 coats of sanding sealer and then carnauba wax on it. And that's all I've done with it. I haven't put the light in this one. This is the second one I've ever done, and the next one's going to have a light in it. But
Hey, that's beautiful.
I really like these inside outside turnings, and for not being very experienced at doing them, I think it came out real pretty. So,
Oh, I did. I like that.
Mine didn't work the first time I tried it. So that is nice. It's a good job.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Very good.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Gary.
Right on. Thanks for showing that. All right, let's go to Roger. Hey,
Here
Roger.
I am.
Oh my.
Okay.
Oh, look.
This is something I made using that jig that they were demoing last week.
Trace.
You turn the vessel first, then I checked it into that jig and ran it through the bandsaw and added 1 ring at a time. Put it back together, turned it, do the next ring, turned it again, and then did the 3rd ring. And thought it was
really
something
cool.
different.
Very nice.
Did you draw it first or guess at the cut?
What's that?
Did you draw it first or guess at the cut?
I drew it on just a piece of paper.
Yeah. Okay.
And then also using the jig, I've got these 2 bowls here. I cut the ring out of one bowl and put in the other. One bowl is real thin and the other one is thick. So one ring sticks out on the side, and the other one's indented inside. So
that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Did you
that's
make
just things you can do with that jig that was shown. So
yeah, did you just make the jig after he showed it, or did you already have it?
I did these in school a few years ago.
Okay.
We actually had Beaver came into the class and showed the jig, and I've got all the plans for it, but I never did use or never built it. We had 4 of them there in the college to use, so
Any chance you can forward those plans to Dave, the webmaster?
That would
I
be
could
great.
probably do so, yes.
Great.
Oh,
I
Because
like that.
our master webmaster throw on our website, so you send it to 75 folks at one time,
Cool.
Okay,
or minimum of 75 folks.
Yeah, I'd like to have that.
Me
like
as
that.
well.
I like that a lot.
Right.
great job.
Thank you, Roger. Boy, that's pretty. That is some
you,
pretty
Roger.
work. And he watched our demo, saw what was done and how it was done. It was very well explained, and he did it. And I love it. I love seeing that when we take one of the techniques that we have developed or work with and spread it through all the members, because it's not available anywhere else. We got the world's greatest website, and that's why we have it, because it's a way to share information. We're doing demo tonight, and if I got this, I just saw this note that Doug Miller is going to do demonstration tonight.
Yes, we had technical difficulty on the on our previously scheduled demonstrator.
Okay, because Trace told me today, and who he was lining it up with, Trace told me who he thought was doing it, and but I'm good to see the Reverend. It's good to see demos from our members, and everybody is invited to do a demo. There's, like I said, no hierarchy, no favorites, no pals, no buddies. We all help. We have like 10 folks plugged in as co-hosts tonight. That's just to help us. Pardon?
I thought I was everybody's favorite.
You are, Brenda. Know that.
Oh, goodness.
So everybody, hats off for Doug for stepping up. It was last minute on getting the demonstrator scheduled for tonight. And Doug was gracious enough to be able to step in and take care of that responsibility. Our previously scheduled demonstrator had some technical difficulties, so stuff happens, and we just have to roll with the punches. I am also looking for at least one more demonstrator between the next two meetings. Currently, I'm scheduled to do myself next week and the following week, but I'm sure y'all don't want to see me do both demonstrations and would much rather see somebody else either before me or after me, or if two people want to step up, that would be fantastic as well.
I think you need more shop time anyway.
Do what?
I think you need more shop time anyway.
Well, I finally turned the lathe on yesterday and turned some. So
Goodness.
I'm still playing catch up, and yeah. Anyway, with that said, get with me or get with Eddie. Preferably get with me if I've got the schedule, and I'll let Eddie know who wants to do a demo or who doesn't want to do a demo for that matter. Obviously, if you don't want to, don't notify me. So.
Keep in mind that if you did know, I don't answer my telephone. So you can send it by text, or you send it by email and get it. But part of my situation is no phone. I love it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm getting 40. I'm getting 40 spam calls a day. They really like me. And I hate to pass this deal on getting my college tuition paid off. All right. Who else do you have, Dane?
Well, we got Jim. We got Jim Duxbury up next. Hey, Jim.
Oh boy. Okay, I can do that. I'm doing a screen share here.
Oh, that looks good.
This is back in my Shopsmith days. I saw that Wolverine tool holder and they wanted $50 for it, and I hadn't sold enough bottle stoppers yet to come up with $50, so I made mine out of walnut, and it worked great. This is the front of it, the top of it. It's all adjustable. The only problem was later I got bigger tools and it wouldn't fit in there. So anyway, things do happen. But anyway,
I like that plate and a hole to hold the machine.
Yes.
The bit flat or square to the lathe.
on the
That's a good
inside,
idea.
yeah, there's a leaf of
like the
stainless
dovetail.
steel, and it goes back to a pin in the back. Actually, it's T-shaped, and it goes back. It just lays between the joint in here, and that holds it. It works great. I still use it.
Yeah, that's great, Jim. That's
Yes.
great.
Well,
Everything so far pretty interesting for
Uh,
sure.
Necessity.
I'm a little bit.
Very interesting.
I'm a little bit ingenious, but a lot cheap. I guess you could say that.
Oh,
Those are
my
two good
goodness.
things to have in combination.
I guess, I don't know, but anyway,
No,
Be cheap, you better be a genius.
the thing.
my God.
This
Yeah.
is another one I made.
Oh my.
This is a slatted vase. I'll show this. I wanted to show this first. That's what it ends up. I turn the base. This other's a flat piece of wood cut back and forth. This is a piece of birch. I think it's about 8 inches wide and 2 feet long. And it's cut, I think it's about a little less than 3/16 wide. You put marks all the way across here, and then about 2 inches from the end, you put a mark, and you bandsaw in here till you stop, and then back out and bandsaw in the next one. And when you get all done, it's an accordion-shaped piece, and you clamp it together and sculpt the top and the bottom, whatever you want to do. But anyway, it opens up. You have to bandsaw right on the line and do it till you're cross-eyed, but it works really great. This is another one I made with it. It's a turned top and bottom. The inside's all black and the outside's sanded and airbrushed.
How did you space the pieces in the top and bottom so evenly like that?
They're accordions, they automatically do that.
It's accordion when you cut it. It's all spaced if you cut on the line.
Oh, okay.
If you cut on the line, you got to cut right on the line.
All one piece.
All one piece, yeah. You roll it around, glue it, or you can actually fan it out. And this is a yellow heart sun. These are the rays of it.
Or you could just fan it out.
Yeah, you can just fan it out. This is a wall hanging. We got this hanging in the house.
That's funny. Oh, that's great. Beautiful.
That's neat.
Amazing work.
Later, my wife will show a big one, but I forget what else. Oh, I made a cupcake. A lot of the guy down the street's having a birthday, and he can't. He's lactose intolerant, and he's whatever else. He's got allergies to everything. So I made him a maple cupcake with walnut frosting. And that went over. Oh, that went over so big. The flutes are cut on the bandsaw too. That's not that hard to do. But anyway, it's you can't gain weight, and it goes on and on.
You just shake your head.
Huh?
I just shake my head. That's just great. Thank you.
This one's hard to explain. This is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 rings. I was experimenting with that, what the heck's it called? Wixie, no, that jig to cut measures.
The Jigsy sled
Yeah.
or wedgie sled?
Wedgie sled. Thank you, Bert. And I ended up making a ring out of maple and a ring out of cherry. And I thought, I just glued them together and they all work great. And I thought there's got to be a use for them. So I cut each ring corner to corner and put them together. So this ring was actually the top of this ring. And this ring was actually the top of that ring. And that looked pretty good. So then I glued them all together to see what would happen. And it's not the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
This is
It
what
ain't
came out-
bad.
This is what came out of it.
Cool
And,
concept anyway. I like
Really
it.
is.
plug in the bottom, but anyway, I'll have my wife show. I got one more piece to show. I have to get my model out here, which
No,
is gonna,
I'm gonna hide behind it.
this is,
Oh, my.
this is the big one. We have one of these on each.
Very
side.
nice.
There's one on each side of the television set. Actually,
Wow.
you can open these up. These pull and whatever else. There's a ring inside here that, and there's a little groove cut in the side of here. So this spaces, and there's a cup inside there, a plastic cup for, it'll hold water and that sort of thing.
You sold my second.
This is the second set. There was a guy in here, a tree trimmer, and he was looking at some of my work. He was doing some work down the street, and he, as he was walking in, he said something about those vases, and I said, "Oh, I make those," and I showed him what they were. And my wife was grocery shopping, and I said, "Those are my wife's," and he said, "I want to buy them." And I said, "Well, better than that, I'll make you set, you know, I can make you any color you want or what." He said, "No, I want to buy those." And I said, "Well, they're not really for sale." And he said, "But I want to buy them." And I said, "Well, do you want the flowers and everything?" He says, or I said, "I'll take the flowers out. You can get flowers of your own." He said, "No, I want the flowers. I want everything." And so I gave him a price, and he pulled out a wad of money. He bought them. So when she came
Nice.
home, there were no vases here. Needless to say, that was a point of contention for a while.
He
So
got
sounds
home.
like- sounds like
He was
a
the man when he got
demonstration.
home. I know
Yeah,
that.
you got it.
Sounds like a demonstration.
She didn't even want the money. She wanted the vases. So
Yes.
anyway.
My wife would have wanted the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look
Yeah,
at it this way.
mine too,
Look
I
at it
think.
this way. She got new ones and
Yeah,
they're
you
better.
Well, I had to remember what I made, and also it's lucky because some of the stuff when I make it, I think, you know, maybe I'm gonna want another one of those, and I keep a pattern. Actually, I got a set of patterns hanging on the wall, and darn if I didn't have one of those. I'm not sure it was that one, but it was pretty close. So the sculpting on the outside of this thing, I had that, I had this configuration all on a different pattern, but you can make these 6 feet high if you want.
Demonstration.
Yeah.
Jim,
No,
how did you cut the sculpting? I mean, how did you?
Oh, I clamped them up. I clamped them all up on end, and did I show you that 90-degree jig? I have a floating jig for the bandsaw, and I sculpt the outside and the inside.
Okay.
You know, later I'll go out and get a piece. I can actually bend it and show it. It's out in my shop. I'll run out in a minute. I'll
Okay.
come back in a while.
Yeah, that'll work, Jim.
Thank you for everything though, guys. I really enjoy this thing. I get a lot of ideas from it, and terrific. I love it. Like Eddie said, it makes my day. It makes my week.
He makes
We're
us
glad-
laugh.
We're glad you're
We
a
get
part of
ideas
it
from
now,
him.
Jim.
You make our day.
He
dude.
says he gets a lot
Much.
from us, but he doesn't realize we get a lot from him.
That's right,
Yes.
Charlie.
I think we get twice as much from him.
Well, I'm glad to do it.
We appreciate it. All right, let's go to Dave. Lakewood. Hey, Dave.
Hey. I'm here. That's an awful hard thing to follow, you know,
Yeah, tell me about it.
but I've just been working on some little maple bowls.
Ooh, nice.
This one almost didn't make it because of all the cracks, but I finally got it fairly well. And then I was playing a little bit more with the texturing tool, put a band around this one.
That looked good.
I tried
Yeah.
a different
different style of bottom than what I usually do.
Pretty thin too.
Yeah, thank you. And then I had some gold paste,
Ooh.
and other than that, it's pretty. It's got some nice. I don't know if you can see it. There's some nice grain in there. On this is maple. None of these have any. None of these have any finish on them yet. And then I got really brave, challenged myself, and made my first pen.
Nice.
Ooh.
And what it was is there was a couple in our church that they redid their floors in oak, and he gave me all the cutoffs of the oak, so I knew it was nice and dry. And then he passed away a year or so ago, and she's in the process of selling the house because it's huge, it's gorgeous, but it's huge, and moving away. And so I made her a pen out of the flooring that he gave me. So she'll be able to take a piece
Very
of the house
nice.
with her.
That's nice.
I mean, I think it turned out pretty good for my first attempt at pens.
Perfect to me.
Looks good to
But
me.
I can also say that I'm not going to be doing a lot of pens.
Too tedious.
Well, I don't know. And I don't know. It just didn't seem to be my thing. I'm more of a bold guy, kind of guy, I guess. But
Little on that. Yeah.
Nice
it was
job.
a little bit of an expansion in what I do. So.
You gotta try it all.
Yep.
I know the word you're searching for, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's all
Okay.
a process.
Thank you for sharing, and good story on the board there. And I hope your friend enjoys having that little piece of her house.
Yeah, well, she's a sweetheart, so
I'm sure
glad
she'll love it.
I'm glad to do it for her.
So,
but that's it.
All right. So our next person is new to the group. I believe this is his first evening with us. Say hello, Dennis.
Hey, I hope I'm on because
you are.
can everybody
We got
hear
you.
me?
Gotcha.
I did have you.
All right.
He was there.
Well, got a little bit of a long story, but I started turning in high school back in the 70s and went on to my career and whatnot and got away from it. So now I'm retired and I got back into it. And this was I don't know if you can see it, this was my first bowl that I made since high school.
Whoa.
Very
Nice.
good. Nice.
And
What wood is that?
it's cherry. And believe it or not, I had this cherry since high school. I've had it around forever.
you kept
I glued it up, and that's what I came up with first
Nice.
time. And a lot has changed since I first started to now in the turning world, which is kind of interesting. And I want to commend everybody that's been on YouTube, and I've watched a lot of different videos on how to catch up, so to speak, and learning some things. So it's been really interesting. Mark Soleil, I've been wood slicing. I've been practicing that, and it's been working pretty well. But I got a couple more things here. I picked up a block of mahogany at a garage sale.
That's pretty.
Pretty.
I like that.
Yes.
Very nice. Yeah.
Fine.
That's lovely.
That's end grain. I figure I'd try that. And then I made this this is also end grain.
Nice.
Very nice.
Very good. And then I did a side grain bowl out of it. I got 3 pieces.
Oh, that's pretty.
I'm working on my bottom rings. I'm doing pretty well with it, but I've got my grinding station down pretty well, but I keep working on it.
Very nice.
You're nice, Dennis.
Really?
Welcome to the group.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks for sharing, Dennis.
Yeah, I've
All
learned
right,
a
for
lot
now,
so far. I've learned a lot so far, and all the tips and everything that everybody comes forth with are very, very good, and I love the group.
Right on.
Thank you.
Every week. Every week, there's going to be something new and different that the person can pick up on. All right, Eddie, back to you.
Dennis, thank you for joining up. And like we say, it's your club. It really is. Accolades to anyone is not necessary because accolades go to everyone. I think I have 3, 6, 9, 10 members lined up right now. We call them co-host. There's no requirement, no test or anything else. These folks all working with me and you to produce this, and we get some great stuff. We really do. I mean, some of these rigs and jigs and ideas you wouldn't think of, and then when you look at the shapes and colors and sizes and the finishes of things, maybe you wouldn't think of that either. And I don't want to be repetitive, but if you've got an idea of something, if you've got details on something, if you got a brainstorm, you don't know if it'll work, bring it in. We'll tell you if it works or not. Sometimes you don't want the opinion, but we'll tell you. But I really love seeing what people turn and how they do it. And remember this, we have a no but guarantee here. No buts. Where you are not permitted to say, I like that piece, but the but can't come out. Everybody in this club, every single wood turner in the world has got something. It's in their heart. It's what they believe is their art, and it's in their heart. And you and I and no one else has got the right to criticize or comment on it, except that it's nice. It is. Because if you made it, it's good work. It's beautiful work. And I mean, you've seen it tonight. You've seen some things tonight that you probably would have thought, how do you make it? We showed you. Not only did we show you, but we probably showed you a demonstration on it. And Dane just asked for somebody to step up. You know, and sometimes you don't get responses like this. But Joaquin says, I've almost perfected my 5-axis pen demos, barrels. If you give me a few weeks, I'll put a demo together. There you go. How about that? A quick response for someone willing to show a 5-sided pen. I gotta see that. Because I do like, unlike some members, I do like turning pens.
It's a 3-sided pen, Eddie, but it's on 4 axes, not 5. 4 axes.
3-sided
I
pen
thought he
on
was
4
joking. I'd love to see that.
Well,
Yeah.
Hey, Joaquin,
There's
you
photos.
got time to figure out how to do 5, Ben.
I'm sure it can be done, but I don't do math well. There's a photo in Worldwide Woodturners Facebook group of the one I just did. A challenge was dropped on me by Brad from Brad's Workbench while I was turning a 4-axis stem for a goblet. And he said, can you do that on a pen? My first thought was, of course. And then I thought, oh, crap, I may have just written a check that my body can't cash. That's really small. But you know what? I figured it out. And I figured out a couple different methods. Why I need a couple weeks is because I figured out several ways to do it. So I want to be able to show you can do it like this, or you can do it like this. So yeah, it's just, and with a twist, it's a 4-axis twist, multi-axis pen. And it
Get out of Dodge. A 4-axis
look at the
twisted
picture, Eddie,
pen.
it's real.
Interesting. I've done it on boxes. I've not thought about doing it on a pen.
Well, you just got to do it smaller.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, should work just fine.
Yeah. You know what the hard part was figuring out how to make it so I could drill to put the barrel in centered. That was the trick. And once I got that, I do this weird thing. I wake up in the morning with solutions and go out and do it on the lathe.
Yeah,
Once
I'm the
I
same
woke
way.
up with the solution, I went out there and banged it out in an hour.
Yep.
There you go.
It's amazing how the brain keeps working while you're sleeping.
Yeah, it's also the problems that you get in your own way of, because I don't do math, and you know, I know that you divide the circle into 6 equal parts, and each is 60 degrees, and then 120 is your 3 different extra axes.
Right.
You know, I understand that intellectually, but putting it on the wood, for whatever reason, it's hard to connect. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm ready to go.
Yep.
So
So Einstein did that.
Yeah,
Einstein took naps and woke up and wrote them down real
I
quick.
do my best thinking when I'm asleep.
There you go.
It's crazy.
I keep a
Or on the
notepad by the
phone.
bed for that very reason. I've woken up with,
What I do,
with
Matt.
ideas.
You know, Matt, I did the same thing for years. And when I was a kid, and this was a long time ago, I was just playing with numbers in my head. And I came up with a series of, I put together a series of numbers like 4 times 4, the square of 4 is 16. The square of 5 is 25. The difference between the two is 9. If I add 11 to the 25, what do I get? 36. If I add 13 to the 36, what do I get? 49, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I had a math teacher tell me that's the most totally useless thing you could ever have in your life. Can thinking about things ever be useless? No. And right now I'm having serious continuity problems with my head, and I count every step I take all day long. And they tell me that's going to go away. These drugs that they kick my ass right now are supposed to make that go away. But it's been interesting, really interesting. The doctor the other day said, "What do you mean you count?" And I said, "It's 44 steps from the elevator to here." She says, "Okay."
Yeah.
And when I
Hey,
do
we
that,
got-
I get to concentrate on picking up my foot, which causes me to fall. So if I'm doing that, I can't talk to somebody. And I told my wife the other day, I can't do girl watching or anything else. And she said, "Oh, I like this idea. I like this idea." Dane, what you got?
Well, we got a few more galleries that just popped in. We can go to before our demonstration. So let's go to
All right.
Billy.
And don't forget, we have to have our safety Sue before we do our demonstration. There he is. Ho, ho, ho.
Hey, everybody. Talking about pens, I've made it a practice to give pens for graduation, high school graduation, to my grandkids and my nieces and nephews. And I hate slim lines, but I've done a ton of them. And I hate slim lines because they're skinny. I don't like skinny pens. So I always turn them modified style. And this is one example. So my niece called me and she said, "Uncle Billy, I hate to do this, but I lost the pen you gave me for graduation and I would really like one for my desk. So can you make me another one?" And I said, "Sure. What's your favorite color?" She told me orange. And so I found this 15-year-old piece of Inglés acrylester. It's polyester resin that I had in the shop. First orange blank I found. And I turned it for her. And man, this stuff was hard. I mean, I can't believe how hard it was. I guess being that old. But then I took it to an engraver and had it laser engraved with her name on it. So it'll be less likely to walk away. I cut 2 grooves in it and then just color filled them with black acrylic paint. Easy peasy.
I was gonna ask you if you burned those in there. I wanted to know how you do that.
No, I used a point tool and cut the
Yeah.
grooves
Okay.
and then took it to a laser engraver. And then you just fill it with acrylic paint, whatever color you want, and it rubs right off. There is absolutely no finish on this resin whatsoever. That is just polished with, I wet sand with micro mesh through 12,000.
Yeah.
And then I hit it with Novus Plastic Polish 2 fine scratch remover. And it will shine like this forever. And the paint just wiped right off of it. Didn't have to polish it back up or anything. A lot of people think you got to put some kind of finish on resin. You don't. Didn't we have a challenge this week? I thought we had a crotch bowl challenge.
No, that's going to be the 21st.
Oh, I'm early, but I'm not going to be here for that. So here's my entry. I was so impressed with Matt's emerging crotch bowl that I had to try it. And this
That's very cool, Billy. Nice work.
This is a piece of This is a
Nailed
piece
it.
of live oak. It's just a little live oak crotch. You can see some figure in it.
The dog, the wolf.
Don't get Brenda started. Please don't get Brenda started.
And there
It's
was
an
there was
inbred
some
Texas hog.
there
Good
there was
job,
some
Billy. That
there
looks great.
thank you. There were some cracks in it that I filled with white mica and CA. And I know I'm not trying to promote a product, but Starbond recently released some ground mother of pearl. It's actually what's that shell that starts with an A? I know my mind just left me. Abalone, yeah. It's actually ground abalone. So I filled it with that and super glue, and it came out really pretty. It's hard to see though.
Nice.
But
The family at Starbond has that?
yes, sir. It's a brand new product. And so this is my little emerging crotch bowl.
Good.
Bill.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Finished with deft gloss, of course.
Thank you, Billy. Well, that's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Nice hat. Nice hat.
Thanks.
Ho, ho, ho.
All
Fat
right.
guy, red soup. Go ahead, Dane.
All right, let's go to Dave George.
Yeah, that's
Dave?
me.
Wait,
Hello.
wait.
Hey,
Denny?
Dave.
There he
Hello,
is.
Dave.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
There he is.
It's been a while since I've been on. I've always been trying to follow, and my wife got reminded me tonight because I was out working in the shop. But I'm just working on trying to do better at bowls. And so this one here is a, get it back here, Eastern red cedar or juniper, whatever you want to call it. Gee, that's pretty.
Oh, it's pretty.
That's really
Very
beautiful.
nice.
That,
The finishes on that.
Oh, yeah.
actually, the finish on this is, it's by Color Tone. It's a guitar lacquer. I was using a Watco lacquer, and this Color Tone guitar lacquer is, to me, 10 times better as far as the finish.
That
And
is
then thank you. And then I just buffed it up on the buffing wheel with some wax on top of it. But I've been working on trying to get on bowls, get it over here, where the bottom, where it would be a smooth transition. And I've been struggling with that since I've started training. And I actually bought a bottom feeder and been working on that, and that's starting to come about. It's a learning curve for me, but it's working better. But I'm finding out that if I go pretty straight and then try to get across, I'm still struggling with that. So I'm doing more of the curved bottoms.
Pull cut. The pull cut across that bottom.
Yes, and so this one I just finished that yesterday. This is it's unfinished, but I was trying to get thinner in areas, and you can see some light.
Whoa. I can read the paper through that.
Wow.
But this here is my neighbor works for the city here in my hometown, and they cut a lot of trees, so he always remembers me. But this is autumn blaze maple, and so anyway, I was trying to get it thinner as I could, and I'm still working on it. As you can see in the bottom, like up here, when I started to make the transition to where it's a little smoother, it got a little thicker. And so I need to work on getting maybe the bottom a little thinner too. But I'm satisfied with how it came out, and I'll probably put the guitar lacquer on this one too. I use 3408 CA on a lot of things, but it depends on, to me, it depends on the wood, or maybe it's just on how I put it on. But some of it takes it well, and some of it doesn't take it well at all, I don't think. But whether it's the density and a different density in parts of the wood. The bigger items, the bigger bowls, I have a little more struggle with the 3408, and I kind of defaulting to the guitar lacquer.
I like that shine on that one.
This came out beautiful. I really liked it. As far as, and I have about 4 more blanks about this size, which I want to turn some more bowls on it. But no, I really liked it. Turned out nice.
And again, I appreciate everything that I've learned here on Worldwide Turners and all the advice. And like I say, yeah, we all kind of come and go to the lathe, and I've been away from it for a while, and now I'm back at it. So it's feeling good. So thanks.
Sometimes the oils in the wood can interfere with the finish too.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, because there's times I was doing different finishes, and parts of it, it looked like it was beautiful. The other parts of it looked like it just sucked it dry, and you try to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be end grain. Yeah.
Right. And so then I tried to put a second coat on and things like that, and that gets to be problematic at times, at least for me.
Might try giving them a good wipe down with some alcohol before you start your finishing, and then do a coat of sanding sealer, and then you're finished.
I did buy some sanding sealer, and it's in the back of my bench, and I keep forgetting to use it. I'm gonna have to dig that out.
I know how that feels. Yep.
Dave, I use acetone to cut the natural oils in wood. If it's an oily wood, I'll wipe it down with acetone real quick, and that usually helps quite a bit. And then put the sanding sealer on.
Good. I'm making a note on that right now. So I appreciate it all.
Right on, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to see. Jim's got his jig. Hey, Jim.
Oh, okay. This is the piece. No, where'd I go?
I see you.
Whoop.
This is the
Jim, we're going to get you back on spotlight.
We had you.
3, 1, 2, 3. Can you see me?
There you got it.
We got you.
This is the piece I showed being cut. And when you open it up, it's actually sculpted on the sides like this. But you can actually open this up like this. You can roll it like that to make it round, or you can roll it the other way for the other configuration. Fun to, you can make an S shape.
Jim, do you sculpt it first and then cut it, or do you cut it and then sculpt it?
I cut it and then sculpt it.
Thank you.
I said that this is, I call it a floating bandsaw fence. I don't use a bandsaw fence at all anymore. I use this thing. And all I do, I clamp this to it like that. And when you got a clamp on here, you can actually follow that and it comes out perpendicular every time. I use this for everything. If I want straight pieces an 1/8 of an inch thick, I put 1/8 inch lines on a block of wood, stick it here and cut them off. By the time you set up that silly fence, you can have it done.
Jim, does it matter what kind of wood you use?
I don't think so. I was going to show this one. This is a bigger one. I think this is 2x4. This is just junk, but this is real thin, and you can do all kinds of things with these things.
Wow.
Now you do the sculpting on the bandsaw itself?
Yes. In fact, this is actually a pattern for that vase I made for my wife, I think. That would roll like this.
Yep. I saw it.
I can see it. I don't know if you can or not.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep.
Right. It rolls like that. Or you can make it inside. You can make it do all
That's the way it
that.
was. Yep. Like that.
But, when you could fan it out, if you wanted to fan it out. But
How do you determine how wide the piece to use? That you're going to cut you guess?
Yes.
After experience, in fact, I even wrote it down. I think this is 8 inch. Somewhere I wrote in here. You can see I've got it written down here. It's 18 pieces, 10 inches by 18 by 1.5 inches. Oh, this is 1.5 inches in here, 18 inches long. Can't be 10 inches wide. Maybe it was 10 inches wide. I suppose every cut takes a little bit out. So you end up, when you do it, you've got to remember there's a space in between each one of these So your last one, you put a half space. You know, so when you roll this around and glue it on the other end, you've got that spacing.
Right. Nice. Very
Very
cool.
useful, very useful bit of information.
Very cool.
Yeah, and this is my jig. I brought it in just so you could see it, but this actually moves up and down and wherever.
How long have you been using that jig?
Oh, you don't want to know. 30 years at least.
Wow.
At least.
Older than you, Brenda.
I think, this is in my shotsmith days. Shotsmith, really don't like the machine, but Doug, it does so many things nothing else will do that I keep it. And when you're turning on this end of the lathe, you can also have a grinding wheel on the other side of the motor. So you don't even have to shut it off. You can just put your tool in here and sharpen your tool and go back to turning. And, it does all kinds of things. The horizontal drill bit, the horizontal drilling is just worth keeping the thing just for that.
Yeah.
If you get a 10-foot post at 4x4 and want to drill a hole in the end of it, they don't make many drill presses will do that. And
Right.
you can do so many things on that machine. It doesn't do anything really well, but it does everything. So it has a place. So. Anyway, that was my thanks again.
Right on. All right, let's go to Safety Sue.
Hi there.
Sue back. There she is.
I hope everybody was safe this week. Was there anybody not safe this week?
Except for that fire, we did pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Just
Wait,
blood
what?
blister fire, I guess.
What fire? I had a
I
Oh,
had a little problem trying to use a propane torch and making a whiskey barrel, an oak barrel, and was trying to char the inside of the small barrel. And we had a small problem. And thank goodness nothing happened, but it was a few seconds of stark terror.
Oh, I guess so. I
Had an
guess so.
eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
And hence the reason for fire extinguishers in several rooms of your home,
Up to date.
especially kitchen and in shop, and even in your bedroom. But I'm going to talk about truck safety again today. I'm left-handed, and even right-handed folks have this problem. When you get too close to the chuck, it can really tear you up. And I don't know if you remember that I suggested that you grind away the points on the end of each jaw. So if you have 4 jaws, that would be 8 points that you're grinding slightly round. And the reason I say that, because being left-handed, I must hit that thing a couple of times when I'm turning, and nothing happens. I might have a little tiny bruise there, but that's all gone. And I'm going to say that I was good. That's my story. I'm keeping it to it. But the thing is that that's a real saver. Now, even if you're right-handed and your left hand gets close holding the tool rest, just be careful. Like I said, we've got it going 2,000 RPMs, 3,000 RPMs. Larger bowls would be a lot slower, but without our hands, we can't turn. So be careful out there. And until next week, be safe.
Thank you, Sue.
All right, Sue.
Great message, Sue. Thanks.
Thank you, Sue.
All right. Well, Eddie, we
Okay.
got 2 more gallery items, and then I think we can go to our demonstrator, which is Doug Miller tonight. How's that sound?
All right, Doug, stand by. We're going to do 2, and we'll be right to you. Who we got?
Well, we got Bob Moffett up. Birdhouse Bob.
Hey, how you doing? I did a little
Bob.
photography on a piece this week.
Nice.
Oh my,
Wow.
that is really nice, Bob.
That's
Thank you.
beautiful, Bob, but how do the
Look in
birds
peace.
get in there?
Well, they put their get on the limbs here.
That's
Gotcha.
not real. That's a porcelain plate. He didn't make that.
Yes, it looks
Very
porcelain.
nice, Bob.
That's
And I did
beautiful,
another
man.
piece, and this piece I just did in a little bit, and wife liked it better than the other ones. But
Oh, neat.
I
That's
like
cool.
the
That's
flowers better,
cool.
but
I like the flowers better. That one's nice too.
flowers were a lot more work.
I bet.
Bet they were.
Can you make her a set of 12 of
No.
He didn't even hesitate on that.
No,
guy.
there was no hesitation at all.
If you'd like me to be
Nope.
clearer on that, I'll try to be a little clearer.
Do you need to put that in writing?
them?
Right on. All right, let's go to Matt. And then we'll go to Doug. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, these are not something that's new, but I turned these a few years ago. I had some cottonwood, and nobody thinks it's good for turning, and I disagree. And these pieces were sitting out in the yard for a bit, so there's some of the spalting that got on them, and so I decided to carve this a little and burn it.
Very nice.
Wow.
So, and then I carved the bottom.
Beautiful,
Nice,
Matt.
Beautiful, Matt.
Thank you. You might have too much time on your hands. Yeah. Wait till you see the next one. So this is also out of the same piece of wood.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh wow. Very cool.
It's
Never
done-
done those cottonwood.
Yeah,
They
well,
got
you
a
could if
turn-
you looked inside, but it's still kind of soft. But
How did you ebonize
Good looking
that?
piece.
this is the ebonization. Hang on a second here. The ebonization is black spirit stain and then blue. And I think I put the blue on first and then sanded it off, and put the black on after it and sanded that off down a bit too.
That is
Oh, I
very
like
striking.
that.
Oh, gorgeous.
That's really pretty.
Nice.
But it's dyes, it's stains. So, and I used a silver Sharpie to do the bottom.
Very nice.
But
Very
yeah,
nice.
the cottonwood is really soft. I mean, it burns and carves well, but these pieces are really light, but it's soft. So you got to be real careful, because when you're carving, your tool will dig in a lot quicker than you expect, especially if you've done maple or something harder. So, but thank you.
Matt,
done.
is your heater inoperative or something?
There has been some cost-saving measures decided upon in the house. So,
I mean,
I live in my room here is in like the northwest corner of the house, and it's too cold. So yeah, I'm cold.
I
man.
understand.
This
Was
is
that a
toasty.
management decision or?
Yes, it was a management decision.
Ouch.
It doesn't make that much difference really, and it's I don't know, but be that as it may, there are some battles to fight, some hills to die on, and some not.
Your
I
hill,
hear
right?
you. I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Obviously, your chair must not be of equal stature then.
Yeah, well,
Something
I
like
got
that.
a lot of stuff like this, so it's
Wow.
So, and I've got blankets.
Yeah, like I
so,
said, got to pick your battles. So,
that's right. That's
no
right.
worries, right?
That's it.
That's good
Well, and I
stuff.
was
All right.
out all day, and we've got some really kind of nasty weather going on here. That winter storm is on us. So I was
Yeah, it
out all
is.
day driving around, and I just got to chill. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting in the warm stuff and doing that. So,
I don't blame you.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, let's go to Doug Miller. He's got something
Here
to
I am.
show.
Hey,
He's
guys.
also going to be our demonstrator tonight.
Yeah, let me do this little show and tell first. We've kind of gotten to where we do that a little bit. I took the last of my trees into one of my outlets, and the lady that runs the store says, I like the boxes that you brought in the other day. Can you make me 2 more? I said, well, I'll see what I can do. So there's the first one, a little bit of maple with an inset lid. So doesn't have a lot of grain pattern to it, but it does have a good bit of chatoyance. It's got a nice dark area there. And then it comes around to a nice bright area. Same thing on the other side.
Very
Darker
nice.
than light. But
Pretty.
it came out really nice. And that's my typical sanding sealer, abrasive paste and wax finish on that one. And then I was looking for another piece of wood to do something similar. I wanted to do another box, but I wanted a different style, different kind of wood. So we came up with a piece of cherry. Again, it's not a pop kind of lid, but you can put it on and turn it, and there's a place where it sticks, and it does not fall off. It still comes off pretty easy. Little
Nice.
slightly hollowed lid, hollowed out on the inside of the box. Just a nice quick finish on it. Again, wax finish is all there is there. But it's trying to make both of these as cost effective as possible. So they're in the range of a couple that were get rid of kind of quality. So there we go. She's happy. I'm happy. I have not worked on that bowl that I showed you last week. So I'll show you that when I get it finished. I've taken rings off, so we're good to go there. Dane sent me a message and it kind of caught me off guard. And I hesitated for about 3 seconds, and I said, sure, I can do it. I just got to figure out what to do. I've got a little piece of fogwood here. I have no clue what it is. It's got a defect right here. It ran all the way along the this branch. I turned an awful lot of Christmas trees out of this. I would do the log off center a bit, so I got the best wood out of it I could. But this one, I'm going to use it. I've got this. It's almost like this was. It may have been lightning struck, but it's got a center portion right here that is solid, and then it's like somebody took and just cut a groove down the branch, and the bark has grown around it, so it kind of goes back into it a little bit. Not sure what we'll find in there. I know there's some spalting. I know there's a little bit of punkiness right in the pith, but we'll see what it comes out to. One of the reasons I picked this piece of wood, sometimes we can find some wood and it has some faults in it, and this one has its faults. So I'm not going to worry about that. What I've done is taken that groove and I've put the live center in it. I'm going to put a small tenon on this side, and then we'll flip it around, and my headstock side is of course going to be the top side or the open side of this bowl. And it's just going to be a little small bowl. If I get I don't know, see how long this is now. This is 3.5 inches. If I come out with 3 inches, I'll be happy. In fact, it could be smaller. I'll be happy. One of the things that has stood out over the last year and a half, one of the videos that I watched from one of our folks, Dean Grimes, he did a couple of videos, in fact, about turning just real little small bowls. One was on turning some end bowls or end grain bowls. And Dean, I thank you for those couple of videos. I really enjoyed them. They stuck in my mind. This is going to be one of those little small bowls. We might look at a bowl this size and say, well, that's worthless. Well, no, it's not. They have great value. If you've got them sitting around your house, what you'll find within about 2 or 3 days, that little tiny bowl is going to be full to overflowing, in fact. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this little bitty bowl. Right now, my tailstock's a little bit in the way, and you're not going to see a whole lot until after I get a tenon on it and get this thing flipped around. But I've taken my rings off. I've got my face shield. It's on, and I just cleaned it off a bit. Y'all, my shop is a wreck right now. You wouldn't believe. I took out one bin of shavings earlier. Then I swept up some more, and it's almost full now. I got 2 scoops of space left in that bin before I need to take it out again. But that's what happens when you turn 100 Christmas trees. So anyway, we're going to turn the lathe on, turn it on slow, and we're going to start off with a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. There we go. I know you can't see the cut, but all I'm doing is basically just a simple pull cut, knocking this back corner off so I can get down to solid wood. I'm hitting all 4 corners, testing again just to make sure I just push my tool rest up closer. So continue on. After one of my videos, somebody sent me a direct message on another platform and said, why do you start on the corner instead of making that piece round or getting the bottom flat first? Well, why not start on the corner? I'm getting the bottom flat and the side round all at the same time. So it just saves time. And by the way, I am turning just shy of 1400 RPMs here. All right, I'll turn my tool rest so I can get in, go straight in. I've got about halfway up on the side here, but I need to go ahead and establish, or I want to go ahead and establish my tenon. By the way, can y'all see the spalting there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to have one side of it's going to be pretty. The other side's not going to be bad. It's just not going to have the spalting that this side has. All right, let's get a tenon established here. All right, because of that groove that was in that log, I've got to go a little deeper. I haven't gotten out of that yet. So I got to go just a little further. I'm driving that bowl gouge. See if I can get it where you guys can see it. If that's halfway open or halfway closed, depending on your point of view, I'm turning that thing almost to 3 o'clock, and I'm using my bevel as that's my steering wheel. I'm following that bevel straight in so that I establish my tenon that's with nice straight sides. And I'm just checking that tenon. There are a couple of where that groove was going down through there. There's some bad wood, and I've got a couple little spots right there on each end. But I've got it's hard wood right there, other than the actual crack itself. So I think I'm okay for a tenon. If it was a recess, I might be in trouble. I preset these calipers earlier, so I'm still, the calipers are set at a minimum size. I'm still real good. I'm going to take just a hair off of that, and then we're going to flip it around. All right. I had a step center in my chuck on the other side there. So get that out of the way. Let's get that step center out of there. Anybody know a solution to keep that point from getting stuck down inside? If you do, put it in the chat and I'll check on it later. I've got two. One of them, my center totally no, it didn't. It stuck all the way down in. This big one, I've doctored it 2 or 3 times and thought I had it fixed and it's still stuck. All right. So there, I've just taken my tenon. You can see my tenon there. Putting it in, closing it up. Make sure we're all the way in, nice and straight. And that's it. These jaws are dovetail on the outside. They're straight on the inside. They're the standard Nova 50 millimeter jaws. And so my tenon is almost flat. Not quite, but almost. All right. So I've got about half of the outside turned. We're going to do just a little more on it. That'll be strictly pull cuts, and then we'll switch around to the inside, and you'll be able to see more of the inside, I think. All right, I've got it up. There's a half inch, 5/8 maybe, from where I've gotten it round to the top where it's still flat. I'd like to save just a little bit of this bark or sub bark. I don't have all the bark on there. We're going to save this. It's, I guess, just over the cambium layer. So I'm going to go back the other way. It's against the grain, but I'll be able to save some of that instead of pulling it off. Okay. The only issue with turning a piece where you got kind of a natural edge is it flutters around so much you really can't see it. There was one section. Right there. Let me see if I can throw a little glue in there and see if it'll stick. I don't know if it will or not. Let's see. Little utility knife, that way I can keep it off my fingers, maybe. Oh yeah. All right. This accelerator I use comes in a bulk bottle. I think I buy it's either an 8 or a 10 ounce bottle, and I pour it into this. And there's a valve here. I put air pressure in it myself. It's a mild accelerator. It's not super fast. And I don't get the bubbles a lot of times that a lot of the accelerators cause. That's one reason I use it, but also it's a bit cheaper buying it that way. And I buy that one bottle. I've had this bottle of accelerator. 3 years, thereabouts. I use a fair amount of it, but it just holds up. It lasts a long time. Okay, looks like it's in there. We'll see if at the end if it held on or not. Okay, I'm gonna take one more pass just to kind of clean up this side. It doesn't look too bad. Most of it will sand out. All right. Let's see. Yeah, y'all can see the front of that fairly well. Let me adjust that camera just a little bit. You'll see even better. Hope it don't make you too seasick.
Took her dreaming me.
There you go. There you go. All right. Did we get there? Yeah, we got there. All right. So again, typically what we're going to do, I'm going to start in the center and work my way out. I'm going to come out quickly so that I can establish this thickness on my rim real quick, as quickly as possible. And then we're going to work down as we work in. It's going to be it's a little bit off from what we typically do with a bowl, but it'll work out real well, I do believe. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names, partly because of that stroke that I had several years ago. But was it Dave that was saying you were having trouble getting a smooth transition? A lot of that comes from your outside preparation when you're doing the outside. If you get a nice smooth curve on the outside and then follow that curve, it's a lot easier than if you go straight down and in on the outside, and then try to make a smooth curve on the inside. It's a psychological thing, but
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now that we've gotten some of the weight off and some of the obnoxiousness off, I'm going to speed this on up. That's just shy of 2,000 RPM. Nothing says you have to turn that fast. I've gotten used to turning it at that speed.
Face mask.
Was there a question?
Face mask.
Face mask.
Yes, thank you.
How about that? We're all watching. Make sure you're safe, just like we should be safe. No rings. Starting this lathe on slow speed, stopping it when you're going to move the tool rest. That's a safe wood turner.
Yeah, I'll use the excuse I was talking when I started. I just forgot, plain and simple. All right. Now it's coming loose there. It's a little different spot, but we're going to go ahead and glue that down before we lose it all. And it's not the world's worst thing if it does disappear on me. If it comes off and I can't find it, I could char it. I could just take it all off and leave it be. all kinds of options. There's no reason to fret. Watched the video the other day. A guy lost a piece of bark. He's trying to make a live edge. Lost a little piece. It wasn't more than a 1/4 inch. And he just went all to pieces. Stripped all the bark off.
I just hit it with a torch. Sometimes you can't tell the difference.
Exactly. And I was thinking the same thing when he lost that piece and went crazy. I thought, just put a little flame to it. It doesn't take much, and you may not be even able to see it. All right, something fell a second ago, and I'm just trying to see what it was. All right, that's all tight. That's tight. I'll probably lose it. Okay, we're better than halfway. We're below the top edge of this low section of the rim, and so we're in good shape there. It's cutting extremely nicely. I think you all are seeing nice curls fly out. Let's go again. Turn my tool rest so that I'm more into it just a little bit. That helps. Gotten beyond what that bowl gouge can get to comfortably. So I'm going to come back to a scraper. I used to be one who I bought that scraper way back when, and it really helped. And I listened to the stories that some of the guys told that the scraper is such a horrible tool. It's really not. Been watching a lot of Richard Grafen here lately. When I went back in after we stopped a while ago, and I still had a mound out here in the center, he would have stopped and done the rest of that with a scraper. So I've kind of learned it's not such a bad tool. In fact, I'm going to go to a round carbide scraper to get this corner. That big bowl scraper was too big for the corner, and so I'm going to go with this round carbide. Helps push the start button. Okay, let me pull out my double-ended calipers. Let's see what we got as far as inside or bottom side thickness. There we go. And I've still got half inch or so. So I'm going to take a little more out of there. Yeah. Right in the corner. Right in the corner. When I brought the big scraper out, I realized then that my tool rest had that scraper pointing down just a bit, and that's what I needed. I needed the same thing for the carbide so that I'm not flat. But I've got just a little hump right there, so I've got to get that taken care of. Yeah. Get a pencil. Little lump right there I want to take care of. Hard to see a pencil line when you've got faulting. I believe I got it. Nope. Still up the side just a little bit. That's better. It's not perfect, but it's much better. So that out of the way, you can see maybe from there's some more loose bark. Tell you what, it's so much of it has come loose, it's almost not worth worrying about. So what'll come loose will come loose, and I'll even sand on that just a little bit. That's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Clean up that little edge right there. May, like Matt said, put a little fire to it, and 50 years nobody will know the difference. But that's it.
Nobody will know the difference tomorrow. Nobody will know the difference tomorrow, Doug.
You're probably exactly right. You know, that's a little junk piece of wood. And there you have a little natural edge bowl. It needs sanding, it needs finish, it needs to be turned over, and that tenon taken off. But that's an easy enough issue as well. Let me just show you how I will do that. I've got a little jam chuck block that I made forever ago. I'll put this in to the chuck, and I can't even begin to tell you what wood that is. It could be maple or sycamore, something light. I've used it. And let me see. I need to, I'll probably take this big back section off of it completely so that this area will go to the bottom of my bowl. Right now I'm sitting up on those two wings. I do still have my center mark right there in the tenon. So I'll put my live center back in that. I'll have it back on this jam chuck or friction drive, whatever you want to call it. And we'll whittle that down. If you ever watch Phil Anderson, I use his method of taking the tenon off. I'll bring the tailstock up. I'll have it running about 800. I'll work this down, work it down until it's just a little small nub, not much left to it. I'll drop it down to about 250, 300. And with my detail gouge, get this so you can see it. There you go. See, it's got a pretty fine point there. I'll just get in there and I'll put the pressure on the bowl toward the headstock, and I'll go right in at the very bottom of that little nub and just cut it off. I'll watch when the nub quits turning, I'll shut my lathe off. I have my left hand on the stop button, my right hand holding the gouge, running about, like I said, 250, 300. And most of the time, the nub sticks to the floating tail or the revolving tailstock, and the bowl just stays right there because I've got my pressure going into the headstock. So you can't get much safer than that. Any thoughts or questions?
That is
Great
beautiful.
job.
That's a good job.
That was down and dirty and fast, but
Look at that grain. It's beautiful.
I love that piece of wood, man.
it's got a real nice salting on that side. The other side, not so much. There's nothing there, but we do have that. And it's on the inside as well. You can see the salting there, and there's the pith on both sides, there and there. But you can see it's got a little punkiness to it. But I'll sand this down to 320. Use abrasive paste on it. I'll put sanding sealer, then my abrasive paste, and then I'll wax it. And it won't shine like a new penny, but it'll shine like yesterday's penny. You know, the bright shine will be off of it. I could lacquer it, but why would you lacquer a natural edge bowl? You know, wax just looks and feels more natural.
Yes. Beautiful.
Nice job,
I
Doug.
see a crab in it.
You see a crab.
Yeah.
Well, sort of,
Yeah,
kind of,
he's right
maybe.
there, the salting.
All right, Brenda, you've been sharing your drugs again.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I
That
love
is-
to watch those wood chips come off there when you was turning that. Oh man.
Well,
That was
you
beautiful.
know, that's a half-inch cryogenically treated bowl gouge that I sharpened just before Sue started. So, you know, it's razor sharp.
Yep. You could
And
tell it.
this wood is not super hard either. I'll admit that right up front. It's not really hard, a little bit punky, but it takes detail pretty well. When I was doing the Christmas trees with it, I got nice sharp edges on all those whorls. I had to sand those edges down. So it was nice to turn. Did not have the worms in it. Like I turned a bunch out of some poplar limbs that fell out. I've got a poplar right outside my shop here that drops limbs every little breeze that blows through a limb falls. So I turned a lot with that, but almost every one of those limbs that I turned with poplar had worms in it. So I had to dig worms out. I think I dug out of 100 trees, I dug out 10 or 15 worms.
Those
Pretty
are
good
fun.
rate.
Well, when you consider about 20% of what I turned was poplar.
Well, the good news there is, Doug, when you get finished turning, you can go fishing.
No, not those. Those are ugly, man. I can't do it. It's kind of
Fish
like
don't care.
possums. You know, possums don't. You know, the fish don't care, but possums are just so ugly. I don't want them around. Those woodworms are kind of the same way. Their little grubby teeth poking out of one end. But
Possums are misunderstood. They're totally harmless.
they are,
Possum-
and they
possum-
eat ticks
possum-
like
Yep. They eat ticks.
yeah, they eat ticks like crazy. But I just
And all
don't
kinds
like
of
them.
other insects and grubs and whatever.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Y'all might can see the punky in the very bottom,
Yep.
but
There's
that'll
the other
stand
side
out.
of the crab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
He's
looks like a
inside and
Dungeness
out.
crab.
Good eating now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. Once again, thank you, Doug, for coming through for me.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. No problem.
Great demo. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you all.
Enjoyed it.
All right. Well, let's jump back to Eddie and see what kind of comments he's got before we
Well,
carry on with gallery.
all right. Doug was kind of saying that, well, Doug was saying that some of you folks don't really like scrapers. Did you see what Doug was doing? He was taking minuscule cuts with that scraper. He was controlling where the edge went, and he doesn't have those ripples and dips in the bottom because he can control it better to do a slide across. I hate to see somebody pull up, or I dislike seeing somebody pull up a bowl and saying, "How do you like this?" And when he pointed at me, I see the rings. The rings, all right, then maybe that's part of your art. Maybe it's the way you go. But if you got a problem with those rings, go to a scraper because you get more control. You don't have to worry about that hook. Somebody said you just got a bottom feeder to do a piece and they were still learning over it. Okay, in your learning pattern, once you have it roughed in, that's a term I hate, but roughed in, go back with the scraper and do some bottom to up cuts with that scraper where you can control it. Don't go top to bottom. Please, no, that's like putting teeth on it, trying to get something out of a tiger's mouth. Just do those passes. It'll come out so nice. And Sue, he should get a safety award tonight. Took the ring off, had a shield, forgot it one time.
Took off a
Would
wa-
stop his,
He stopped
would
like
stop,
every time. Every time.
yes, yes. Stop
I
the
think-
lathe to adjust it to a rest.
Whenever he demos, he is so safe. And kudos to him.
Yes,
He
Thank
and it's good. And we emphasize that here. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon. You need to take your time and get it right. And heard somebody the other day, and I'm terrible with names for the last couple of years. Heard somebody the other day talk about, damn, that's gone. Oh boy. I'm sorry, this ain't the day for me.
All right.
All right. Next week, I got to jump off this. Prozac's killing me. Next week, we're going to have a little bit of ornament display. We're not going to call it a challenge. We're going to call it a display because the only winner is you. And that's all the important that you win. So we don't want you to show something. We say, well, first, second, third, and fourth. Who are we to believe we can assign who's first, second, third, or fourth? You're first. Every time you turn, you're first. There are no rules. Is there a design you should follow? No. There's an idea? Yeah. But next week, we're going to talk about this. We're going to do a demo for beads and courage, beads of courage. And not really a demo. We're going to do a program to collect beads of courage for that program. We will have more details in our newsletter about what the requirements are, because they do have requirements, and how to get the balloons that go into them, the markers that say beads are covered and all that. We're working on that. We're going to get all that for you. And we're hoping a member steps up and says, I'll coordinate all that. I'll take all that. You folks do that. You really do. Now, another one, I got to go back to last week's notes because I didn't correct them for this week. Another one is we're looking to do a second demo. Calm down, Dane. Calm down. Somebody hit him on his chest. Get him back.
I'm good.
Okay. We'll talk about a second challenge. Now or a second demo for each meeting. It doesn't have to be a long demo. It can be a short demo. You can show the use of a jig. Show how you sharpen this or sharpen that and why you do it and such. And that's what we're looking for. Those little short demos to help novice turners, even seasoned turners. We don't call them pros and semi-pros. Novice turners are seasoned turners, to show them some of the things we do. So we're looking for that second demo. Now, I also got a crotch challenge. We're going to do a crotch challenge. And I misspoke when I told Billy a little while ago. But we're going to do a crotch challenge. All right, I got to get rid of that noise. Boom. Mute all. Okay, now we got rid of that. We're going to do a crotch challenge, and I think I got it penciled in for February. And the rules are simple. It's got to be a crotch, really. And we will not use the phrase "show me your crotch" doing this demo. Okay, that's been reeled in on that. Do not use that. All right. And another one is gnomes. I mean, we've seen them. I mean, Matt Harbor and Joaquin and a few others. I got the names down here. Johnny and others have shown us some gnomes. And there are no rules on gnomes. It's got to look like a gnome. If you know one in person, copy it. But we're going to do gnomes. And I'm looking for information and ideas for other display challenges throughout the year. This is your wood turning club. Hey.
Capinetti, do you want a demo on gnomes?
Oh, yeah, I want demos on gnomes. Yeah.
There we go, Matt. There we go, Matt.
Look, he's writing it down. He's writing it down right now. He ain't letting you off the hook.
Hey, we
got
need those gnomes for St. Patty's Day.
Ooh, green fur. Note to self: order green fur. Thanks, Tim.
Now that's something. All right. See, you were all working together here, coming up with ideas of what you can do. I've got some fur that something my niece killed. I don't know what it is, but it's dead. Got some of that fur, and I'm thinking if I can turn, then yeah, gnome it's not a simple project, but it's a project that gives you the ability to get creative. I mean, look what people show us. They're creative, and there's no two alike. So there's no standards or guidelines or anything else. All you have to do is have a little fun, turn a gnome and show it to us. And they make great gifts. Tim's hatch said for St. Patrick's Day, but think you make them for St. Patrick's Day, you're giving them away to the grandkids for Easter. They go, but make sure you do enough for all the grandkids. You don't want to be there when you give one or two away. Trust me, I've been in that battle before. So that's it. We're going to go back to gallery. Gallery's open to everybody out there. All you have to do is put in chat, I have something to show. Dane will call on you, and boom, you're up there and you're showing us some of your art from your heart. Do we have anybody in the box?
Yeah, we got Tim. Speaking of
there he
green
is.
fur.
Hey, good evening. Sorry I was late. Mother-in-law came in from Phoenix, so had to do that obligatory dinner out at Chili's. Not my favorite restaurant. Anyway, I'm still recovering from the surgery, and good news is I get to go see a colorectal specialist next week. But in the meantime, the wife has let me in the shop for a minute because I got an email from a guy. Remember, I did that demonstration back in October at our local arts and crafts center. And the guy's making this little wall art thing. Basically, he builds a frame like a window and then hangs ornaments or baubles, something like this, on strings, and they're, spaced out next to each other or whatever. But he ordered from me 175. So I got to turning, and I got a chance to turn these. But my biggest issue was trying to find wood because he wanted them all out of poplar, and I don't have poplar in my place. So I went to the big box store, and lo and behold, Lowe's of all places has 2-inch round poplar 4-foot length for $10.98 a piece. There's a SKU number if y'all want it.
Poplar's good turning wood.
It actually turned really nice, you know, so for $11, I
Probably
got
get it.
4
You
foot
could probably
stick,
get a 2x4, 2x4
2 inch by
block of
4 foot length for $11.
No,
And-
so what I'm saying is you could probably get a 2 inch by 4 inch square stock at Woodcraft for probably less than that, probably in a 6 foot or 8 foot section.
Yeah, I couldn't find any at my local Rockler or
No?
Woodcraft. They didn't have it, so.
Wow.
Lowe's, Lowe's hooked me up. They hooked me up for a little bit of a price, but that stuff, the extra that I bought for that job, gonna come in handy for all kinds of different miscellaneous stuff. But if somebody's looking for wood and, you don't have to glue anything together for a 2 inch round, you got to spin it to make sure it's perfectly round on your lathe and everything, but it was a pretty good deal. So all in all, I can't complain. I didn't make $1 million out of it, but I made almost $400. So not a bad weekend worth of turning. So that's all I got. Good to see everybody. Thanks for the demo, Doug.
Doug did
Yeah,
very
thanks,
well.
Tim.
Yes, poplar does make good turning wood. I turned a tool handle out of it, in fact, for one of my lathe tools. It works great.
I bumped into it at a Hobby Lobby one time, and it was awesome. And you can, the beauty of that, like he just had, Tim had the round piece. The beauty is you can start with a pair of spigot jaws, and it's so easy to chuck up and hold. And that's the beauty you have to think of when you're making a piece is how you going to hold it. Remember, if you can hold it, you can turn it. It's just if it lets you grab on. All right. Anybody else in the box right now for gallery tonight?
All that stuff was done with the skew, Eddie.
Oh, no.
Yes, sir. Had to practice my skew work.
Cool.
There you go.
And Kay Bolger,
Be
be
the
so proud of
efficient
you
tool
right
to
now.
use.
All right.
No, we're at a lull right now for gallery items.
Well, we still got some time, folks. Jump on there. I know you have some items. We have 75 plus people out there. They're all members and they all have the equal right to show something on our gallery.
Hey, Eddie, look, show my little tree, birdhouse and tree again, since there was very few people on.
Oh,
Real
yeah,
quick,
let's go.
I got to step away about 5 minutes here. I got to give a shot to my cat, so I'll be right back.
All right. Sue, show it to us.
There we go. There's the,
Now, the first time Sue showed that tonight, she says it doesn't have any finish on it and it's got all these inclusions and such. Do you know that is a piece of art?
It's lovely. I think it's really cute.
That's cute.
I love
Yeah,
the
it's
piece of
beautiful.
wood. I didn't use sandpaper on it. The finish on it is Triple E and Dr. Kirk's wax. That's it.
Wow.
Did a good job with that.
And then the top and
know.
bottom are the top's basswood, the bottom is a piece of maple, and then I gilded it.
Nice.
I
But I
like
really
that.
do like that piece of wood. It came out nice.
Yes.
Look, you got a side door on that too.
He doesn't it though? It's a little
That's a
getaway.
side door there.
Practically deep enough, yeah. So
Fire
then,
exit.
Or maybe
Yeah,
that's where he keeps his food stash.
exactly. I don't know how long this little point will stay, but yeah,
I
was
like
having
that. Very
Hey,
nice.
Hey, Sue, put a
Yeah.
bottle stopper on the end of that and you'll have a birdhouse bottle stopper.
There you go. Speaking of bottle stoppers,
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Let's pull it back to you, Sue.
I
Very
did.
cool. Nice job, Sue.
this is Dr. Kirk's Triple E and his number one. He has 3 different waxes, and I just used the number one, and that's all that's on there.
That's a good use of that Spectrafly too.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, and
Very
I
nice.
just figured, it's half the Christmas trees are blue spruces anyway, so what the heck? This is going to be a gift for a Christmas giveaway this weekend at my neighbor's house. So
Very nice. I love that. Beautiful sign.
I've got a bunch of green Spectrafly. That'll be a great use for it.
yeah,
I'll
and
do
if you have extra, I'll send you my address.
Ed, since Dane is away, Terry has something.
Oh, Terry, don't cause any trouble
I'm up
tonight.
and then I'm gone. I'm here. I was there. I'm here. And somebody can find me maybe there.
You're there.
Go.
We already got
Find
you.
me. Well, yeah, I've been playing around. Last week I showed you some of the kaleidoscopes I made, and I had the one made into a Canon and told you that I didn't like the frame that I had it on. I liked the frame, but I didn't like the stain that I had put on it. So I made another one. And this is a different frame. It's a 2x6. It's a pine. The Canon kaleidoscope is cottonwood on this one. But I made the wheels and everything. And I went into little detail last week on how I made the wheels. Well, I wasn't real happy. Before I got on last week, I started 3 of them and was going to show them in series how I was doing them. And they didn't work out well. They had a problem. And I had told you what I did is I went in with a blank like this and I set it up. I think everybody probably still knows the jig that I was using. If anybody wants to see it, I got it here on the table if you haven't seen it before. But I did it like this and drilled the holes in through using the jig. But I used a brad point bit, which I had not used on the wheels that I made on the one I showed. And the brad point bit wandered all over the place. So I didn't hit the hub in the right spot. So at that point, I gave it up and didn't try to show it last week. But the way that I found best to do it, like I said, this is a 2x6, and I'm going halfway, and that's making a perfect match pair. I don't see it, but anyway, that gives you a perfect pair, identical size and everything. Because when I get done, I go in and hollow the center out like that, and then drill my holes with it hollowed out. And instead of using a brad point, I used a Forstner bit. And it went through, and when I went through here, of course, then it wasn't being guided anywhere. And it hit right dead center on my hub. And I made the hub a little, you can see where this hub is all chewed up and the holes are all out of line. You see what I'm saying? It's all terrible. But by using a brad point, that didn't happen. And that worked out really good. And that's how I was able to do it. And then after you get it down to this done, put your dowels in and I'll glue them and let it set real good. Then you can just turn it around and chuck it up and do the other side, drill it, hollow it out like that. And then you'll be completely hollow. You'll be seeing the spokes on both sides. Because the spokes you put in on this side are going to hold this all in place so that you can cut this out. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And
then you put these spokes in, and then you've got the 2 wheels identical the same, and they're hooked together. And then you just take a parting tool and part them apart. What you do is starting with a thin parting tool, look inside as much as you can and watch where you're hitting. I had a little bit of a problem getting on. I think I'm going straight, but I'm not. And I'm getting off a little bit to one side. Not enough to hurt anything, but it caused a little bit of problem as far as getting the hub center out. I had to make a couple little washers to space it out away for the frame.
How do you chuck it up, Terry? Once you've got the dowels glued in, how do you chuck it up for the second side?
Oh, I just took the big jaws on my one way and clamped it on the outside. You're working all
Gotcha.
straight in, so it ain't coming off.
Gotcha.
And when
Okay.
I got out to where I was concerned about the outside, I didn't really finish too much. I didn't worry about finishing this part. I just worried about getting the spokes. Then after I separated it into the two wheels, I just took a jam chuck with a 1/2-inch pin on it and put it on one side and then put a soft touch on the other side. Then I could work the whole outside of each one individually and get the edges off and clean it up and clean up the hub and everything.
Cool.
And
Perfect.
just flip it once I separated it. But I just jam chucked it through the hole afterwards because I put it right back on center.
Looks like a good demo to me.
Nice, Terry.
Yeah, I just can't get that computer working and the phone. We'll go into that in another story. I had a real good story where I told you last week about the mirrors that I ordered online and came in and they were supposed to be 8 by 10 and they were about a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. So I called Amazon and emailed and did all the text message to Amazon to return them. They sent me a thing that I had to go print it. And I don't have a computer or a printer. So I go to the print shop, go to print it, and it's not the return label I'm printing. It's a request for the return label that I'm printing. So I had to wait for that. And then I had come back in. So I went down and paid another $3 to get that copied. So then I go to the post office and take my printing label, package the whole thing up and give it to the lady. And the address is in Russia. So she said, I can't send this to Russia. It'll cost $30. I said, oh, that ain't worth it. So she says, well, let me look it up. So she goes to look it up and she says, oh no, we got a block on Russia. You can't send anything to Russia. So I said, oh, that works good. So I said, oh, well, just forget it. What am I going to do? $45 and I already spent 10 chasing it. And so I come home and I got a message from Amazon that they credited my account back for it. So I don't know. But anyway, that went into it. And anyway, I finished up 7 kaleidoscopes. I think this is another one the same way. This one is made out of ash. And it's got a lot of figuring in it and a couple wormholes too, but I left them too. But I got all of the cart pretty well done. The kaleidoscope just lifts off the cart and it just sits there so you can pick it up and play with it. It's got some design problems I got to deal with, but most of them I've got down pretty good. And I was having trouble finding little bits of glass. And I put the word out to Joaquin and some of the other club members at what I was looking for. And I got in touch with a guy that I've met before that's kind of the president of the Wood Carvers Club that we have in the next town over. And I've met him and he's a splendid guy. And he says, yeah, my wife does stained glass and he does carving, mostly birds. So he said, come on over. I went over to his house and that was like noon. And about 5 hours later, after I left the house for the tour of every wonderful thing, the guy was really great. I had a wonderful afternoon spent with him, and this stuff is up there in the caliber of Jim's stuff, I guess. And his wife's stuff is pretty fancy too. Is a really nice thing. He's
Cool.
done all that. But then this was the jig, if anybody didn't see it, that I made the wheels on. I just clamped it to the drill press and then lined it all up. And I already marked it. I marked it with the index on my blade, but if you didn't have that, you could do it with a compass or figure out where to get them even. And I've just put them at 45 degrees. They give me 8 of them. But when I put it on there like that and clamped it up, the only thing to watch out for when you put it on, when you first start, when you got this all in one block, you see I've got that line right dead across the center, just one line. And then I'm starting my 45 from that line. But that line is everything. That's the whole secret to success. What you want to do is put it on the jig, set it up. You see it? When I set it up, So the line is vertical. I set a square, combination square on the base and run it up and made sure I had that line dead center vertically, 90 degrees off of the base, and then clamped it I clamped it to this jig so that it was straight up and down. And then slide this on the drill press until your crosshairs are on the hole you want to be at. By doing that, you're sure that you're going to get your holes drilled into the hub properly. If you have it off a little bit, well, nothing's going to work right. So you have to get that vertically on there to start out with your first hole. And once you've done that, it's all just a matter. And then once you clamp the everything together, the board down onto the drill press, you don't have to do anything anymore. Just go around. You've got it marked like this already. Just go around, hit your marks, and you can change it, flip it from side to side, and everything you want to do. Just make sure that you leave the jig clamped to the drill press, and then you don't have to set anything else up. It was pretty easy. When I wasn't happy with the first ones, I went back and made 4 more sets, and I was real happy with all of them. I didn't get the tear out, and got them cleaned up. I got a nice hub showing, well, somewhere where my finger can be, but anyway, the hubs come out nice, and I was pretty happy with the wheels.
They're all beautiful.
You guys know me. I keep going until I'm 50% happy with what I'm doing. I don't think I've ever found a piece that is perfect yet, but I might someday.
I think that was a pretty good demo.
Going at it, you will.
That's
But
pretty good.
I keep working at it. That's all
way
I
to
got.
spin
Well,
the
let's
cat on
somebody
that.
else get in there.
See there, you can do a demo right there. Just did it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I bring it in to get some idea. If anybody's got any questions, bring it up next week or contact me and I'll show anything again. But I'm going to, just for my own interest and my own learning, I'm going to try changing the sizes a little bit and try to shrink them down a little bit and use smaller dowel rods and see how complicated it is to make some smaller spoked wheels. I don't think it'll be any different at all. It should be the same process. And I might try doing it with some better lumber. The 2x4s are okay. They're perfect size. The 2x6 was perfect for what I was doing. It was all out of one piece. So one thing I will bring up about when you start playing with the construction lumber and you're going out for your scraps and you're looking for the 2x4s, look for the big scraps. They can be short, but look for like the 2x10s and the 2x12s. Instead of all 2x4s, look in your dumpster there and see if there's any big heavy cutoffs. Because what you're going to find in the 2x10s and the 2x12s is a lot tighter grain than in the 2x4. See how close the grain is in there? It's
I love that. I love that tight,
pretty consistent.
I love that tight grain. It's so pretty.
Yeah, the wood is so much stabler. When you get into one with a real open grain, the wood can crack real easy. You know, when you get a piece like that, that's not too bad because it come around here, but see how open that is and see how tight this is. And this is the difference between a 2x6 and a 2x12. You figure the 2x12 had to come out of a lot more mature tree. And on both sides of it, it's pretty nice, like the grain, and it's a lot stabler, it's a lot solider. So when you're digging into dumpster, don't be afraid to get those big pieces and cut them down because they're really a lot better wood quality. So, and probably took up enough time to see who else has got something.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Terry. That's cool. That's
Thanks,
cool.
Terry. That is really cool. Matt says he wants to show off again.
Well, good.
Yeah, I can't follow Terry. I've got just a couple of little things. I make that like out of scrap at the base of something. When I make something bigger, is I make these like little bowls. They're very useful for holding things in the shop. And this one doesn't have it, but you could glue a magnet on the bottom too. So don't just chuck away what you got left, the waste wood on the bottom. You can use that. And this is a piece I did a while ago. I set it up to carve. I went through the bottom. I don't know if you can't really see that, I guess. But what I did is I glued a piece of corian on the bottom and turned it off to, I funneled it. So I fixed it with corian. So that's a really neat little piece of, piece of wood there. I'm going to carve it, which is why I've turned it the way I've turned it. But just some things I got laying around, more projects to do.
All right.
Thank
Nothing
you.
wrong with that.
Nice,
Thanks,
Matt.
Matt.
What do you glue the corian with? Coriander wood.
This is wood glue. I roughed up the corian with 80 grit sandpaper.
Okay.
And it's wood glue.
Oh.
So I've used CA glue in the past, and I don't trust the bond anymore. So that's why I'm using wood glue. But epoxy works pretty good. Epoxy works pretty good too.
Cool.
Good info. All right, let's go to Scott. Hey, Scott.
Well, I started working on next week's challenge a little bit.
Okay.
And I wanted to make this hollow. So if I can get the cap off, oops, they dropped on the floor. So
It's a display, Scott. It's a display.
Yep. So
That's nice.
I drilled a 7mm hole through it so I could turn it on my pen mandrel to start with, or to finish it actually. Then I built I guess you'd call it like a jam chuck. This is hollow. So I hollowed it out with an Allen wrench that I turned into a tool.
Wow.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
Then I put that piece back in there and I turned it around, chucked it in my chuck and drilled the 7mm hole back through it so that I could finish turning it. And then I put just a little piece of walnut in the end.
Oh my goodness.
Cover the hole, just to give
Nice.
it some different contrast.
Did you sand the inside?
No, I didn't sand it inside. I wish I could figure out how to do that.
Wow, fabulous job.
That's funny, Jim.
Fabulous.
But it's just a little piece of something that you would have thrown away, or some people would have thrown away. I have a whole jar full of these little pieces from other
Very
projects.
nice,
so
Scott. That's cool.
Very nice.
I wanted it light. It's heavy because it's made out of maple and Brazilian cherry. So it was heavy when I started. So I wanted to make it lighter. And I don't know where I came up with the idea of making that little jam chuck, but it worked pretty well.
Cool.
And making a tool out of old hex keys works really nice.
Yeah, that's
Use a
good.
piece of aluminum
That's good
3/8
steel.
wire and chuck it up and then
Yeah,
grind it on a
especially-
grinder.
I don't know about the new hex keys though. They don't tend to last very long.
I actually buy them at garage sales when I see them, and they're all rusty and cruddy. And those are the best chuck keys in the world.
Yep. Yeah, high carbon. The more red rust, the higher the carbon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The rustier they are, the better they are.
Yeah.
So just
Good
some
info.
tips for some new guys that, you can make small tools out of just about any kind of old steel.
Right. Wow. Right. Let's go to our master webmaster. Hey, Dave.
You're muted, Dave. Still,
Oh, no.
There you go.
There we
There
go.
we go.
All right. I've been doing something that's far less complicated than anybody else does, but Mark gave us some practice to do that was going to be related to no sanding. So I was doing some no sanding items, and I was doing pretty well, and I was happy with my results. And then I decided to try the Christmas tree. And for the life of me, I could not figure out how to do the Christmas tree. When I say that, it turned out all right in the main areas, but I tried to make it each one of the sections very short the way he had. I like that idea. Well, every time I did, it would shred along the edges over and over again. So I kept trying to drop them down more and more, trying to make it not shred. And I never could figure out, even this set that's fairly large, it hasn't been sanded, but along the edges, it's completely shredded. Does anybody have a suggestion on what I'm doing wrong?
Yes.
Is the tool's not
Yes.
sharp enough? Am I hitting the wrong angle? Because
it's at a knife edge.
Yeah.
So if you don't hit it at the very beginning with a sharp shearing cut, it's going to shred. So you basically, what you have to do is you have to start turning in the air and come in a slicing motion in the air as you contact the wood. So if you're using a skew, it's got to be slicing at that point. I tend to use my little detail gouge and hit it with the side of the flute, which is the same sort of thing you're doing with the skew. But you take a very light cut so that you don't chew it up, because it'll chew up real easy. It's real thin. It's you know, knife edge thin there. So it's.
That's
Are
what
you
I'm
gonna
finding.
paint them?
Okay, so it's really, I just need to practice more on this particular type, because I really have trouble with the edges, and I was doing well other than that.
Are you gonna paint them?
These were simply to practice, just to get me to use the tools.
I
and-
make them and they chew up what like that. If I'm gonna paint them, I leave them because it looks like needles. Looks
Yeah,
like
I think
pine
so
needles.
too.
Okay. Yeah,
Hey.
I might as well finish them. I mean, I might as well paint them or something, so.
Yeah.
Now, that's a good idea. I guess even if it's chewed up, it's.
Hey, Dave.
You can sand them with your 2 or 3 inch rotary sander while it's running. That'll take that edge down smooth.
Oh, I know I can sand them and eventually get them done. It was just that
Okay.
Mark was showing how he was cutting these things. They were very close together. They were very short, and everyone came out.
Dave,
looked like clean.
if you watch that video again, you're gonna notice that Mark is taking and raising his hand up, kind of a pump handle action as he's pushing in. So that could be what's going on as well.
I will look at it again. You're probably right. There's something about his technique I didn't quite catch there, and I'll watch it again and see if I can get these cleaner in the future.
Yeah, well, they're all beautiful.
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks good from here.
I had good fun practicing at least.
There you go. That's all that
Now I need to
matters.
spend less time sanding, at least sometimes.
Right. Good questions, Dave. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't know if he's written anything down yet, but I wrote his name down anyhow. Hey, Joaquin.
Hey. Oh, you already got me.
I know you got something.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna bring the camera down here, and I got a little rack here. Let's see. Oh, there's some birdhouses that
You've been busy.
Yeah. Well, I got them ready to take out to the gallery, and my wife says, "Time out. Those are not going to the gallery. Those are going to be Christmas gifts." I said, "Well, I got 8 more out there to finish." Well, those are going to be Christmas gifts also.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So that's about it.
Oh, they're beautiful though.
Beautiful.
Sir?
Oh, Joaquin.
Very nice.
Very nice, Joaquin.
Okay. Thank you. But I thought I was going to make some money. I guess I am making money by her giving them away instead of buying something. So works out both ways, huh?
Yep. And plus you made a lot of people happy, including your wife.
And
We
it
know how
might
that
lead to
goes,
some money
too.
later.
Yes, I do.
Well, they say a happy wife is a happy life.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Let's
That's
go
all I
to
got.
Joaquin's other compatriot here.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Glenn.
Glenn.
How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Yesterday I went out in the shop. I needed to make something for my brother for Christmas, so I went in and I turned a little lidded box. And
Very
this
nice.
This one's out of oak. It's from I'm not sure what kind of oak it is, but it was from I had my tree in the front yard trimmed. So I kept a bunch of the logs, and so I
Very nice.
turned it. This probably about 3/16, 1/8 inch thick wall.
I love the detail on the
That's
inside of the
nice.
lid.
That's nice, Glenn.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Kind of looks like blackjack oak, doesn't it, Billy?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
All mine is spalted, so it's hard for me to tell, but yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
Live oak is our plentiful oak down here mostly.
But I'm not sure what oak it is. So,
Yeah.
and it's all the pieces I've made out of it. It's a dark color.
Okay, wait a minute. All right, looking at that grain structure, that actually does look like live oak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's live oak.
Okay.
It has a tendency, live oak has a tendency to weave.
But you can't
in the
hardly
grain.
see the grain, but you can see all the rays or
Yeah, the medullary rays being
Yes.
white.
You can see the rays on the top and on the bottom.
Got the live
Right.
oak
Those
pattern.
rays make it look really pretty.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you cut some, it's white, and sometimes other is
Brown.
dark like that.
Yep.
I don't know why it does it, but
I
it's
don't
mostly
either.
live oak around here. Some white oak, not much.
Well, live oak actually is a white oak.
Okay.
Right.
I like the spotting in it. Little tiny
Yeah, it
spots.
has-
Yeah, it's pretty.
has a
Leopard
knot
spots.
there, and then you see it had the knot or
Uh-huh.
the pith there, and the pith is up over here too.
Oh,
And you can see the pith is off. I turned it where it's off center from the
Right.
pith.
Nice.
It's not
And
often
blowing
that
away
you,
the pith mess.
it's not often that you have pith that doesn't crack in live oak too.
I know. I'm surprised. I've turned a number of pieces from this wood, and it hasn't cracked.
Cool.
And out of the same tree, I even turned me a Christmas tree. It's not
Nice.
it's a regular Christmas tree. It's not a Joaquin style. And a friend of mine wanted, I turned him a mesquite one about 6 inches tall last year. And now his wife wanted one about 8 inches tall. I've turned this one out of that oak. And then another one about 10 inches tall. I turned this one, and this was from a 4x4 cedar fence post.
Very nice.
Cool.
Good job.
So
gorgeous.
Very nice.
So that's all I got.
Good job, Glenn. And thanks for additional proof in shredding the pith myth. All right, let's go to Billy. Repeat
Okay.
offender.
Yes,
Billy.
I am a repeat offender. I'm going to share the screen. Dave was asking what he does. I mean, how to avoid the chipped out bottoms,
Serrated edges.
the serrated edges of these things. I just use it as accent when it happens to me, and I use a Dremel tool, as you can see, and I just go over the piece with a Dremel and add more texture to it. And here's another example where you can see the edges are serrated and shredded a little bit. And again, I go in with a Dremel tool, and I use different colors of dye. Actually, dye. No, that's not dye in either one of these. Those are Sharpies. I just use green, black, and 2 different colors of green Sharpie. And as you can see here, there's a couple of different colors of green. So I just use several different colors of green Sharpie and decorate them up.
Nice.
And I just live with
Very
it.
cool. Very cool, Billy.
Thank you.
Brenda, do you see it? Do you see
it.
the accent, Brenda?
Yep, he had a Band-Aid.
What? Huh?
Yeah. Band-Aid on that thumb,
Those,
yeah.
those were years ago.
I like that idea. I appreciate that.
You know, Billy, you've been real prolific this week. I've seen a lot of your videos showing up in my feed.
Good.
You have yeah, you made a lot of stuff this week.
Actually, I've done a few things.
That even that white chili looked good.
Oh,
Yes, it did.
that white chili chowder. I mean, that chicken chili chowder is yum. One of my viewers actually sent me that recipe, and oh man, it's good. He called it white chicken chili, but it's more chowder like to me because of how much cream and milk is in it. And the last time I made it, I actually added a can of corn as well. Ooh, it's good stuff.
That would be good.
Yep, it's good stuff. You got to be able to tolerate jalapenos, though. If you can't, if you can't tolerate jalapenos, I made another batch for my grandkids with mild green chilies in it instead of jalapenos, and it was okay. They ate it. They liked it. It was okay. It wasn't. It doesn't have to have heat, but it just didn't have the same flavor.
Gotcha. Now I have another question. This is from Safety Sue to Bubba Claus.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you do your beard?
You mean when did I trim it?
Yeah.
I trimmed it 3 days ago, I think. I got out of the shower and it was the last inch and a half was yucky, scraggly, thin, and because it's been falling out or getting tangled and coming out in the hairbrush. But so I just trimmed it all so that I got all the split ends off, and it'll grow back.
Well, it looks good, especially for.
Thank you, Billy. Appreciate it. Hey, a little while ago, we were talking about the edges on a tree. And next week, Scott Hampton's going to be doing our demonstration. He's going to show how to avoid those torn edges on trees. So you ask for it here, you're going to get it. What I like about how Billy decorated those edges, you don't have to follow any straight lines. You know that with your dribble tool or your NSK, how it kind of walks a little bit, especially if using 2x4 lumber, etc. Walking's okay, gives you that accent, and then you disguise the accent. You don't get rid of it; you just disguise it. As he said, different color markers. You can have a lot of fun with markers. I did a series of ornaments one time, cut every one of them alike, and then I used colored highlighters to accent them, and came out beautiful. And then I found out that it doesn't mix with deft.
Sharpies do though.
Yeah. But they made for an interesting finish though. When you got it later on, you had the wrinkles in it. Okay, got about 16 minutes left, folks. Have you got something to show? Wait a minute. Yeah, we gotta jump backwards here one step.
Yeah, we got to go backwards.
We gotta go backwards.
Let's
All right.
go backwards.
Well, on the edges of the tree, this would be one. It's got a pretty sharp edge on it. But this is what I use. This is a spindle gouge, but that's about a 25-degree angle on that thing. And it is like razor sharp. But you got to be, vertical when you go in, or you're going to go north or south. But that's what I cut my edges with, is this spindle gouge when I start in there.
Yeah,
sort of like
that's
and
pretty
it's
much
almost like a stew.
That's pretty much identically the tool I use too.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I do it, Joaquin. Yep.
And it's one of Cindy Droza's grinds that she uses on her finials, And of course, I use it on the finials as well. And it's really a handy tool to have for making them sharp, crisp edges.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sharing ideas is what we do here, folks. We share ideas, and you've seen them tonight. You'll see them again. We got another demonstration next week. And as someone indicated earlier, we're having a gallery next week on Christmas ornaments. It's not a challenge. It's just a gallery. I want you to show off. And, you know, if we do it right and the timing's right, Joaquin may get some back from his wife so he can show them to you. So
No, I don't
Captain,
think
can
so.
I share something real quick?
go ahead,
This is
Dean.
Dean Grimes. Just wanted to take just a moment and say thank you to everybody for your good wishes, your prayers, your emails, text messages, and everything. I had my heart procedure done Monday morning. It was 100% success, even better than the doctor had hoped for. They did put a stent in there, and I have zero chest pain, first time in months. So
Excellent.
really want to thank everybody for your prayers and good wishes.
Good job, Dean.
Well,
You
That's
got
great.
it.
Great news,
Glad
Dean.
it worked
Glad
out
everything went good.
real well.
No, it's been great. Just got to, get my strength back, and I'll be ready to go and back in the shop again.
Dean, I
keep in
watched your
mind,
snowman demo today. That was a good demo.
What was that?
I watched your snowman demo today. That was a good demo.
Thank you.
keep in mind, Dean, rehab will help. Do the rehab. Don't avoid it. Do the rehab.
Yeah, they're going to set me up with cardiac rehab as soon as the site heals up enough for me to do it. So
Good.
probably start on that next week.
Did they go in through your wrist?
They went through the wrist and the groin, and
Oh,
they
my.
had to go in two ways. I had about a 1-inch blockage in the artery in the back of the heart. So they basically went at it from both directions and drilled it out. I'm sure hoping they had better drills than what we got in our shops, but
They got them at Harbor Freight.
It probably.
Did you,
No
They-
hard to say.
Dean, did you tell them how to
They had
sharpen
them
the
on
drills?
special.
I was just hoping they did it right there, Dane.
Well, the doc might have appreciated the humor,
Exactly.
I know that's I always do that, with the various surgeries I've had over the past. I always make some sort of joke about sharpness of the scalpel and everything. And in fact, last February when I went in for my hand surgery, I actually brought a little diamond card with me and asked him if he needed to touch it up. I had it laying there on the cart there with my stuff.
I heard that after they did your surgery, they had enough money to go to Harbor Freight and buy a drill sharpener. Those drill bits.
Exactly.
Probably had enough money to go buy a Harbor Freight store.
I'll tell you what, if you look at those bills, that's enough to put you back in there,
Mhm. No joke.
Yeah. Is that right?
I have a gizmo implanted in me that reads on the mat I lay on in the mornings to give the doctor an update, more information that he could possibly get when I go to a visit. And he said, look, this is absolutely free. And, you mean experiment with Abbott Labs. And the experiment thing bothered me a little bit. But when I got home 2 days later, I got a bill for $75,000.
Yeah,
and I went
not
to the building.
exactly free, huh?
No, I
It
went
was
to
free
the building
doctor.
department.
It just wasn't free to you.
Yeah. I went to the billing department at the hospital and found out what they call the billing department. They're not the adjustment department. They're just the billing department. So first thing she says, that could be a problem. How do you want to pay it off? But it took a couple of weeks before Abbott and the doctor got on, and that bill disappeared one day. But I've had 5 procedures done under that program with Abbott. 5 different changes, stents, bypass, a screen, and other stuff done. And I don't have AFib, and I don't have any of the other problems I had before. They all went away, and it wasn't miraculous. the test was to see if Medicare would adopt it in their program. And I haven't heard, it's been 3 or 4 years, haven't heard how it made out. But I had a good doctor and he cared. And that's how we ended up in the program. But
That's huge right there, just having a good doctor.
it is. This is the kind of guy you can go into and just flat talk to. There was no chart, no scale, no. He looked at the computer screen and said, "Oh yeah, look." And the other day I saw him and he says, "Wow, you lost 35 pounds." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Where'd that leg go?" So, he was kind of cruel to me, but he's a good doctor. And let me see something. We got Scott Hampton out there, right?
Yes, I'm here. Woo.
All right.
I lost you.
I'm
now
here.
I got you.
Got me? I can show
Yeah, the
something real
button
quick.
would work.
I
Go
got
ahead.
it.
Let me switch my camera real quick here. If I can, there they are.
Oh, nice.
30.
Wow.
Well, those are nice.
I can show how to make these next week. That was my plan. I don't know if anybody else has demoed these type of ornaments yet this year.
Are they hollowed out?
Oh yeah,
Oh my
definitely. So
No, this would be the first iteration for this type.
okay.
And even
So
if
this
it's the 10th iteration, it's still fine.
Yep.
These are all big leaf maple burl out of Oregon. The black ones, those are ebony, and this is red cedar on this one. So
nice.
Very nice.
So
Beautiful.
I'll show the tree trick and I'll show how I go about making these this year. So
that'd be
that'll
great.
be the demo for next week.
Good.
Sounds
All
good,
right.
Scott. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
All right,
I-
let's go back to Doug Miller. I think he's
Here we are.
ready.
One more time.
There he is.
3 things real quick. Scott, you said something about the hollowing tool out of Allen wrenches. There's one right there.
Yeah.
I showed that, I think, 2 years ago, and a couple of people actually said, "You can't do that." Yes, I can. There it is.
Sure you can.
There it is.
Works great.
And it does work. If you get very far off the tool rest, because it's that thin, it's going to vibrate, but it does pretty good. And then last week, of course, we all said we're going to go find our spindle gouge and regrind it. So we did. And it came out pretty good. I've used it heavily. Somebody said, I must have missed something. You're talking about 3/8 or whatever it was. This one is a 5/8. Mark did a 3/8.
Yeah.
That's because that's what I have. And so, and it works wonderful on that 5/8 spindle gouge. I was slicing and dicing and just having a great time with it. A little bit of a learning curve because you don't have that long bevel like I'm used to using. So had to learn how to use that little tiny bevel again. Okay, while we've been talking.
Look at there, man. That
Crab
looks
ball.
good.
That looks nice.
How'd you hold that to turn it off?
To
To
turn
turn
the
the tenon
tenon
off? Yeah.
I'll message
used
you
to-
my address, Doug.
I used
Jam-
a
jam
friction
chuck?
drive.
Oh,
I
friction.
had that
Yeah.
piece that I showed you. That's it now. I
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
all that rim that was up here. I cut it off.
Yeah.
Shortened this and rounded it some more so it would fit in there real good. Used non-slip pad and a paper towel. Went to town with it.
Excellent.
Okay. Then my regular abrasive paste and wax on the outside and the inside. Turn the tenon off, and then I used just some Howard's feeding wax on the bottom just to give it something. It needs another buffing up yet, but there it is.
I
There it
love
is.
the grain in that thing. It's just wow.
Yeah, the spalting in this is very pretty.
Really nice. Thank you.
Really
That's
nice.
nice, great.
It came out really pretty.
Thank you, Doug. Beautiful. He turned it tonight and he finished it tonight.
And the
Isn't that something?
That's
Well,
the
I'm
only
back
way.
and
Turn it
forth
one
with,
way and have a bowl, turn it the other way, and you got a different bowl.
Yeah.
I can
Did you
honestly
have
say
the
I'm
rep
ashamed.
inside? Where it
I'm
was
sorry?
punky? The punky part. you were able to smooth that out?
There you can see right down in the center there, that's where it was the punkiest.
Oh, yeah, nice.
It's pretty smooth. And there's the pith on the outside where it was punky. And
Yeah.
again, by the time you
great.
sand it to 320 and then put some sanding sealer on it and then the abrasive paste, it's still soft. If I were to stick my fingernail in it, it'd go right in, but it's much better than it was when I first started.
Look at the inside. Look at the inside of the bowl. No lines, no bruises. No, that is a perfectly finished interior of the bowl. The rest of it is gorgeous, but that is perfectly finished.
It's beautiful.
That sanding sealer does wonders for the punkiness. It soaks in and hardens. It's great stuff.
Tremendous. And I went with Wayne Clasper's idea. I went ahead and used the spray. I still have a piece of the Def lacquer sanding sealer in a spray can. Sprayed it on, gave it 30 seconds, wiped off the excess, let it sit for another couple of minutes before I started working on the abrasive paste.
Works for me, man. That's why I love that stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. It works so well. And I know Billy uses it. Captain Eddie, you used Def for a long, long time, haven't you?
Yes, sir, it did.
I've used it.
I still got some, even after the shop blew away. Some of that stuff, the cleanup crew didn't pick it all up and throw it away. I salvaged some of it. You can't read the label anymore. It wore away, but you can just put it in your fingers and rub it, and you can feel it.
Yeah, my can of Def sanding sealer is nearly empty. I might have to buy another.
Well, the one I used tonight was almost empty. I've got another one that hadn't been opened yet, so we're good. But I got to find.
I order them by I get 6 at a time when I order them.
Yeah. I've got to call my local Ace and see if they'll still get me the quart cans, so that I can have some loose as well.
Right.
I'm ashamed to say I haven't reground my spindle gouge yet, but I'm gonna. Yeah,
I'm with you, Billy.
I'll be doing it very soon.
Yep. Let me
The
go
only
back.
reason I haven't done it yet is because I forgot.
Yeah, that thing will slice and dice. I still want to extend this back section a little further, so it's a little shallower curve, but I'm going to keep that convex curve on it.
That's what I did with mine too. It's longer, steeper.
Yeah. I've had it on the grinder 3 times, and that's just as far as I've gotten with it so far. I want to spend a little more time with it. It's like, we used to buy our bowl gouges, and they had the old English grind on them, which we call a bottom feeder now. And when they were saying you take it to a swept back wing, a lot of people went immediately and ground all that metal away. You can do it slowly but surely. Your tool will last longer, and you still can't have the same results eventually.
Yep.
Beautiful,
lets
sir.
you learn that curve too.
And when you make that Irish grinder, or you change the old English grind, you don't really take off all that much metal if you do it right. You just change the profile a little and then grind to the edges.
Right.
You're not losing a whole lot of metal if you do it right. But if you wade in and get crazy, it causes problems.
Oh, yeah, and a lot of people did just that. They wasted a lot of metal.
Yeah, I was at a woodworking school today, and looking at their wood turning tools that they had, and one of them was it was a deep fluted bowl gouge. It was only about 2 inches long, about the flute. So it's like,
oh my
God,
gosh,
found the heck out of it. I was like, can I take this home and
maybe it was
reshape it,
old.
please?
Before we wrap it up tonight, Howard's got something. Hey, Howard.
Yes,
Howard, talk to us. He was out there a minute ago.
There we go.
There he is.
How y'all doing tonight?
All right, Howard.
Good. Great demo. Great demo. I don't have a crotch piece tonight to show, but I got a burl, cherry burl natural wave foam, and this was a real small burl wrapped around a tree. You can see the end, where the tree was came through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And real small, and had a limb coming out back here on this other side. So I just tried to do the best I could on it. And
Wow.
That's spectacular. Very nice, Howard.
Nice job.
It is nice, Howard.
If you find you need to dispose yourself of that, you can just send it to me.
okay.
It's
How many
Billy
minutes you
Birch
gonna get on,
Disposal
Billy?
Agency.
You'll have to talk to my wife first. She has first
That could be a
dibs.
problem, huh?
Right. Sure.
That's pretty.
I like to eat.
I agree. It's me, you and me both, Howard.
We
All right,
have
that's
something
all.
in common.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Beautiful
Good
All right,
piece.
thanks, Howard.
Beautiful piece.
Very
Boy,
nice.
we've seen them tonight, folks, really. And if you wonder about that sharpening technique that Doug showed a little while ago, that's on our website because it's in one of our previous shows, our meetings. And our webmaster, Doug Rhodes, does that. He excerpts the demonstrations out of our regular meetings and posts those to our website also. So if you see something that we do in a demonstration, you can see just that demonstration on our website. And if there's a drawing or a detail or explanations or whatever, it's going to be there also. And sometimes there's just notes for you, just notes. And those notes are in the chat. And just now I saved my chat, and I do it every week. Save the chat. And then you look for those notes, they're right there in your computer. Everything you need is there. So let me see. We showed you how, we showed you the art that comes by it. We gave you the demonstration. We have the demonstration available on site, and we have the notes to go along with it. Is there anything else we need? I don't think so. Thank you, Dave. You did a great job, bud, and you always do.
Great.
We're going to double your pay next time we get a chance. All right. With that, I throw that money around like crazy. With that, we're gonna say goodnight, folks. Hope to see you back next week. We're gonna look at the Christmas ornaments. We're gonna see what Scott to show us in the demonstration. It's Christmas ornaments also, and we'll all be back again, all having a good time, all sharing the holidays. Hope you see you back then. Until then, in the words of Safety Sue, be safe. And in the words of Donald, save the chat. So take care, folks. Be good and be safe.
Good night.
Good night,
everybody.
If I'm not here next
Night,
week, y'all have a
everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Don't
Christmas.
forget to save the chat.
You too, Billy.
Stay
Thanks.
safe
Thank
and
you,
have a good
Donald.
week.
Good
Good
night,
night, Mary
Eddie.
Ellen.
Be healthy this week.
Good night, John Boy.
Good
Good
night,
to see
Grandpa.
Dean's healthy. Really, it's
Yeah.
nice.